Let's start with today's topic. Is going to be called "The Messiah is in the Old Testament." The Messiah is in the Old Testament, because oftentimes you have a lot of Israel. Well, I guess I'll say a lot who do not believe in the Messiah, and if you notice, the ones that don't believe in the Messiah are the most, or are rather the least, or most irrelevant in the nation. They don't go out and teach the people. They do nothing. They sit by, criticize the camps that actually do believe in him and put in the work. That lets you know who the Most High is dealing with, because the prophets went out and taught the people. All right? Not cower under the bed at home. And the reason why they had no spirit to go out and teach is because the Most High is not dealing with them. You reject this son, he rejects you. The spirit's not going to be in you. Genesis 49 and verse 8. We'll start there. The Messiah is in the Old Testament. Genesis 49, verse 8. We'll start from the very beginning.
The book of Genesis, chapter 49 and verse 8. Judah, thou art he whom thy brethren shall praise. Thy hand shall be in the neck of thine enemies. Thy father's children shall bow down before thee.
So he's talking about Judah here. So it's in reference to Judah in the last days. Okay? Read on.
Verse 9. Judah is a lion's whelp. From the prey, my son, thou art gone up. He stooped down. He couched as a lion, and as an old lion. Who shall rouse him up?
So Judah is, well, read verse 8 again. Let's do it. We do it with that.
Judah, thou art he whom thy brethren shall praise.
Because the Most High was going to raise up Judah first to raise up all the rest of the tribes of Israel. He was going to raise up Judah first. He has raised up Judah first. That's why you oftentimes hear these Old Testament Israelites who reject Northern Kingdom saying, how come there's not many Ephraimites, leaders, and so forth? Well, the answer is simple. He was going to raise Judah first. Ephraim will come after. Ephraim's coming in. All right? Read on.
Thy hand shall be in the neck of thine enemies.
Judah will be in direct vicinity of the enemy, Edom, Babylon. That's what it's referring to. Judah is going to be in North America, Edom's capital, in the neck of our enemies. Our hand should be in the neck of our enemies. I mean, we'll be close to them, the closest among all the rest. Go ahead.
Thy father's children shall bow down before thee.
And the father's children are going to respect Judah because they'll acknowledge that Judah was the one the Most High raised up to bring forth the truth to all the 12. That's what it's going into. Verse 9.
Judah is a lion's whelp.
The fierce lion. Go ahead in his youth.
From the prey, my son, thou art gone up.
There was a time when Judah was going to rise up and fight against the enemy. There was a time when that took place. You had the Panthers. You had who else? You had SNCC. Numerous organizations that were rising up against the prey, against our enemy. Remember, it said in the neck of our enemies. So we were going to be close to our enemy and we were going to strike back. But what happened? Civil rights leaders is also civil rights leaders. Go ahead.
He stooped down. He couched as a lion.
Right, a lion's ready to strike. He stoops down, ready to pounce. Go ahead.
And as an old lion.
But something happened.
Who shall rouse him up?
Something happened. He went from being that young lion till he became an old lion. Ready to attack, fierce, powerful. That young lion got old real quick. One out. Go ahead.
Who shall rouse him up?
Who shall rouse him up? So let's get an example of an old lion. Get Baruch real quick. Baruch 3 verse 10. Baruch 3 verse 10. It says, but as an old lion. What made him an old lion? Young, ferocious, fierce, powerful, to old, tired, lazy, shiftless, jail, gay, effeminate, Christian, politician, athlete. What happened?
The book of Baruch, chapter 3 and verse 10.
Yeah.
How happeneth it, Israel, that thou art in thine enemy's land?
Right. Remember, it said earlier, in the neck of thy enemies. Go ahead.
That thou art waxen old in a strange country.
What? Read again. That what?
That thou art waxen old in a strange country.
Read again.
That thou
art. On top.
How happeneth it, Israel?
What happened to Israel? What happened? Remember, you were ready to strike. You were ready to pounce that young lion. What happened? He's asking. What happened? Go ahead.
That thou art in thine enemy's land.
Go ahead.
That thou art waxen old in a strange country.
How? Go ahead.
That thou art defiled with the dead.
That's what happened. We got defiled the nations. The nations are dead. Their ways are dead. Their customs are dead. Their gods are dead. We got defiled with the other nations. Start to assimilate, integrate. We got government jobs. Remember that movie? The Panthers, you ready to take the building over. What happened? They were hiring that day.
Hey, you know what's so heavy about? I'm gonna be quick.
Yeah.
You know what's so heavy about what Deacon Ithon just brought out where he connected it with Genesis, because that's exactly what it means. When you read Genesis chapter 49, how many of you in here are new? Brand new. Okay, I see a few hands. Genesis chapter 49 and Deuteronomy the 33rd chapter. That's that right? Yeah, 33. 33rd chapter gives you the breakdown of where the tribes will be at in the latter days. That's what the first two verses of this chapter 49 in Genesis talks about. So the Most High gives the information about how to locate the tribes. So as Deacon Ithon started with in verse 8, he's reading about Judah. Then it's going to get into Christ. That's what he's reading about. So as he's reading this clear that the Bible is talking about actual history. History. So when you read that verse about Judah is a lion's whelp, and it turned into an old lion, I know that's what you was dwelling with. That old lion, what are some of the things that made us, quote unquote, old? That's what you're going into now in that Baruch. Read that Baruch again, I'm sorry.
Read it again.
Baruch 3 and verse 10. How happeneth it, Israel, that thou art in thine enemy's land, that thou art waxen old in a
That thou
strange...
art waxen old. Waxen old. That's going back to what we read in Genesis. Good precept. That's a very good precept. So what are some of the, like you were saying, what are some of the things that cause us to wax old? Okay? That's what Deacon Ithon was going into. But just think of some of the things that happened, like we was just talking about. Israel was rising up. Judah was rising up. I said Jake, but I meant Judah. Right. Judah was rising up, fighting for rights, equal rights.
But Judah started first.
Right, exactly, that's right. Judah was the one that was leading it. Snake, the Panthers, civil rights, Martin Luther King, all that, Medgar Evers. Y'all know about some of this history, correct? As this black power movement and black consciousness, all that stuff started to awaken the Negroes. This is going back to Ezekiel 37, and there was a rattling and a shaking, and the bones started to come together. That's the prophecies lining up all over again. So what happened that caused him to lay back down? What happened? Drugs. Okay, now you can start thinking about what started to happen to the drugs, the murdering of our leaders. All of these things, the COINTELPRO, stuff like this. Those are the things that, like you said, the welfare system, Section 8 and all that. The welfare system. Okay, all different kinds of health. These are the things that the enemies, what did it say? His hand shall be in the neck of thy enemies. These same enemies began to figure ways on how to destroy the rising up of Judah. That's why the Most High comes back and he says, who shall rouse them up? Because they're going to have to be awakened again to really stand up. Okay, so that's prophecy. People talking about the Bible ain't talking about times of prophecy. Shut the hell up. Go ahead, Deacon.
Read on. Read verse 10 again.
Baruch 3 and verse 10. How happeneth it, Israel, that thou art in thine enemy's land?
How'd you get there? Go ahead.
That thou art waxen old in a strange country.
This one. Go ahead.
That thou art defiled with the dead.
We become defiled with the dead. They begin to integrate. Integration was instituted. Assimilation was instituted. Public assistance was instituted. Government jobs. Politics. You have the leaders now. Lupe, what's his name? What's his name over time? Young Lords. Geraldo Rivera's one. He's one. Lupe Feliciano or Felipe Luciano. Guzman, right. You have numerous. Who else? I'm trying to think of his name. Young Lords. Feliciano is his name, or Lupe, or whatever. Him. Young Lords leader. Politician now. You have numerous people who rose up and then they fell back. Sharpton. Okay, him. A number of our people begin to wax old in the philosophies of this world. Defiled. Go ahead. Adam Clayton Powell, right. Yep. Marcus Garvey, go ahead.
Verse 11. That thou art counted with them that go down into the grave.
Read again.
That thou art counted with them that go down into the grave.
Mean you're dead. Counted means you're acknowledged like those who are dead in the ground. You just like them and alive. Spiritually dead, zombified. Zombies. There's a clip in Lion King. Movie's crazy. Lion King. There's this thing he says to Simba. He says to Simba, because Mufasa's supposed to be, that movie's another level. But he says to his son, you have fallen far from what you once were. Something like that. When he went, remember he got chased out of his land? Simba. dwelt with the hyenas for a while. Then he dwelt with Timon and Pumbaa, 2 unclean animals. Started eating unclean things and forgot what his culture was. Forgot everything. The monkey had to come and tell him, what's his name? The monkey's name. Huh? Mafiki. Had to say, listen, you know who you are? Mafiki. Rafiki. He said, you know who you are? He had to explain to him, and then he wanted to see his father. His father said, what happened to you, my son? That movie's crazy. Lion King is spiritual on another level. We watch it and say, that's a great movie. You know, the songs and stuff. No. Watch the movie again.
That was in the 90s. They were bringing that information.
Get that clip. When he talks to his father. Watch what he says to him. I'm going to show you.
Digging our tongue.
Did you actually find it? Because I was looking for it. I couldn't find it.
No, that's up there.
Digging
when he
our
first
tongue.
meets his father. Well, not first. When he sees him dead.
Yeah, the monkey looked like the white man.
But you know who the monkey was supposed to represent? The monkey was supposed to represent us.
Prophets. We'll be the prophets.
That's what the monkey was supposed to represent. Because that was the one that
Remember,
woke him up.
he landed up. He said he's alive. And he drew him in a tree. He said he's alive. He started getting happy. But there's a scene when Rafiki says, go talk to your father. He hits his face, he hits the water, and the reflection of his face is his father. That's the Bible, his father's face. Yeah, it should be it.
You knew my father?
Correction, I know your father.
Stop. So that's the first thing, as the prophet, he goes, you know my father? Like he's dead. He says, no, I know your father. He's still alive. He's in you. That's what he's saying to him. Like our father, you know who our father is. He's alive in us also, but we're spiritually dead, like he is in this instance.
Y'all realize they use a lion to represent us. That's what we're reading here. That's
lion.
This is straight up mockery.
That's the
what
whelp.
they're doing.
That's
the whelp.
A whelp.
Just watch this. Pay attention.
Yeah, man. Then the monkey will be what? Will be who? Elijah. That's come back and tell us who we are.
That's
right.
what that is.
The beard and everything.
Right. Watch this.
I hate to tell you this, but he died a long time ago.
Nope, wrong again. He's alive, and I'll show him to you. You follow old Rafiki. He knows the way. Come on.
Watch this. Look how fearful he is. That's us.
Don't dawdle. Hurry up.
Hey, whoa, wait.
Come on. Come on.
Would you slow down?
Stop.
Watch this. Just pay attention.
Look down there.
That's not my father. It's just my reflection.
No. Look hard.
Read the Bible.
You see, he lives in you.
Stop.
Now, this was in the 90s. We was in the old school when this came out. We were talking about this very film. That water is the Bible. Go ahead.
No, he said something about father.
Right.
He said, no, look harder.
He said,
what you see is a nigga.
Right.
That's you got to look deep in the water.
What he said?
Negro. You see as a Negro. I'll say that. Excuse me.
Right.
A Negro. He goes,
Right.
no, look harder. You're not looking hard enough.
Right. When he said look harder, because he's trying to let you know that so-called Christian blacks be reading the Bible and they ain't really reading it. You got to really get into it to find out that it's not just words on the paper. You read like hymns. The Bible is actually talking about you. That's why I said the Bible is your photo album. That's what he's telling them. He said, listen, it's not you just looking at it. Look harder and see yourself in the Bible. That's what he's telling them.
Yeah.
You see, he lives in you.
Father?
Simba, you have forgotten me.
No. How could I?
You have forgotten who you are, and so forgotten me.
Stop.
Look inside.
Y'all didn't know about this?
What more do you need at this point?
Y'all didn't
He's
know
in the
about
clouds, got the beard blowing in the wind. You forgotten? What you say? Go, rewind it again.
That's
Go back.
Isaiah 1 and 3. That's what he's telling you, right? That's Isaiah 1
Go
and 3.
back more. Right there.
Father?
Simba, you have forgotten me.
No. How could I?
You have forgotten who you are, and so forgotten me. Look inside yourself, Simba. You are more than what you have become.
Stop. That's what he said. You've forgotten me. Therefore, you don't know who you are. And he goes, you've fallen far from what you... Go back again. I hear it again. I can't. I keep stumbling. My mind is not picking up.
Too heavy for me. Can you imagine? Can you listen to me?
You've forgotten me.
Can you imagine what it's like sitting in the movie theater? Because a lot of us went to see this while other Jakes was in the movie theater. We're looking at the screen, seeing what it's saying, and we understand exactly what we see. I'm talking about even back then, with the little bit of understanding that we had then, we understood this. We understood this clearly. And the other people in the movie theater clueless as hell. They don't know what the hell they're looking at. Cartoons or something. I'm like, man, this is ridiculous.
Yeah, you know what's so heavy about that? He said, you have not know who you are. That's why you forget who I am. Yep. Yeah, that's what the Lord said. Because of us lost our identity, we don't know who God is. We're thinking we just a bunch of Negro follow Christianity. Yep. The Lord said, no, because you don't know who you are, you're not going to honor me. But when you know who you are, you're going to know that I'm the true God. I'm the God of your father. Yep. You're going to follow me when you know who you are. Right. That's really what he's saying to him. Yep.
I'm going to be quiet after this. Y'all got to realize when the... Yes, I am. Yes, I am. Y'all got to realize that when the movie producers and the people put these movies together and they put this information out here, they're showing you how important you really are. And they measure our spiritual intelligence with these movies. Yep. I'm going to say that again. They put like I always say, they don't give a damn about entertaining you. It's not about entertaining. They don't give a damn if you die on a chicken bone. They don't care about that. Their whole objective is for them to find out how many of you know your real history. And exactly. So, and if too many of us know, then they say we got to tweak the books to put them back to sleep. We got to give them more drugs, like we was talking about earlier. Give them more integration, bring them more, do all of that kind of stuff to put us back to sleep. So that's what these kind of movies are about. That's what they are about. Okay. So it's important for them to do that because they have to know. They have to know how fast we're rising.
Right, to wax you old again.
Exactly.
Go ahead.
Simba, you have forgotten me.
No. How could I?
You have forgotten who you are, and so forgotten me. Look inside yourself, Simba. You are more than what you have become. You must take your place in the circle of life.
How can I go back? I'm not who I used to be.
Remember who you are. You are my son, and the one true king.
Stop.
When he says you are my son, what is he saying? He's saying that you're the Israelites.
Yeah.
That's what he's saying. He said, you are my son, you are the Israelites. You belong to me.
That's at camp. You tell him that at camp. We at camp.
I'm getting chills just watching this, and you should have seen when.
How can I go back? I'm not what I was before.
But there's more because the prophet. Well, let me shut up. Yeah.
Thank you, Deacon Yasa. Thank you, sir.
Let it roll.
Come on. No, please, don't leave me. Father, don't leave me.
What was that? The weather. Very peculiar, don't you think?
Yeah. Looks like the winds are changing.
Change is good.
Yeah, but it's not easy. I know what I have to do, but going back means I'll have to face my past. I've been running from it for so long. Ow! Jeez!
Hold it. Check out. Hold it. Stop. He said that he don't want. Listen to. You got to listen what he's saying. He's saying that he doesn't want to go back to his past. A lot of our people hate history. Yep. Okay. They don't want to go into the history of the Bible to find out who they are. Just go back just a couple of seconds and play on, because I want you to pay attention to when he said about going back to the past. Right. You know, you remember. Hold on. No. Watch what he do. Watch this. He's going to show you how significant the past is. I remember this. Play it.
Looks like the winds are changing.
Change is good.
Yeah, but it's not easy. I know what I have to do, but going back means I'll have to face my past. I've been running from it for so long. Ow! Jeez, what was that for?
It doesn't matter. It's in the past.
Yeah,
You get the point? If you pay attention to getting hit upside your head, he's showing you that the past makes a difference. That's the point. That's what he said. That was it. That's all I wanted.
That's it. Go ahead. Let it go. See how it goes.
hurts.
Oh, yes, the past can hurt. But the way I see it, you can either run from it or learn from it. Ah, you see? So what are you going to do?
First, I'm gonna take your stick.
No, not a stick. Hey, where are you going?
I'm going back!
Good. Go on, get out of here.
Yeah, he's repenting. That's what that part represents. He said, I'm going back home. That's what he meant.
And then in the end, he becomes that fierce lion he once was supposed to be before he fought against Scar, Edom. His uncle's evil uncle, Edom. That's what it was supposed to be, Scar.
Y'all like that? All praise to the Most High. All right.
Yeah, Deacon Nathan, you have me going home now watching with the kids. You ain't right.
You like that, right, Lava?
Genesis 49 again. Uncle Edom.
The book of
Yeah.
the book of Genesis, chapter 49 and verse 8. Judah, thou art
No,
he.
verse 9.
Verse 9. Judah is a lion's whelp. From the prey, my son, thou art gone up. He stooped down. He couched as a lion. And as an old lion, who shall rouse him up?
The prophets, or as what we are now, Rafiki. That's what we'd be. And here. Go ahead.
The scepter shall not depart from Judah.
Meaning he's always meant to be king. When he said to him and said, Simba, you're supposed to be in the throne. The throne is yours, so to speak. I'm paraphrasing. Supposed to be in the throne. The throne belongs. You're the rightful king. That's what he says. Go ahead.
Nor a lawgiver from between his feet.
Because we're the lawgivers as well. The priests. Go ahead.
Until Shiloh come.
Until who come?
Until Shiloh come.
It means the peaceable one comes. Go ahead.
And unto him
the Shiloh, the peaceable one. Go ahead.
shall the gathering of the people be.
Unto him shall the gathering of Israel be. Not any regular, any elder in Israel, any camp. He's referring to the Messiah. Unto the Messiah shall the gathering of all 12 be. He's going to use Judah, the top tribe, to raise up all the rest, and then he's going to gather all of us together as one. All right? Read on.
Verse 11. Binding his foal unto the vine.
Still referring to Shiloh. Binding his foal unto the vine. Go ahead.
And his ass's colt unto the choice vine.
And as his ass's colt unto the choice vine. The vine is us. Go ahead.
He washed his garments in wine, and his clothes in the blood of grapes.
So Moses is giving a description. This guy, based upon what I'm seeing on his clothes, he washed his clothes in wine, and it says he, in his clothes in the blood of grapes. Who washed their clothes in wine? Do y'all wash your clothes in wine? But that's what Moses is describing here. This guy's clothes is drenched in wine because he ain't see what somebody else sees later on. Let's go to Zechariah 9:9. We'll get to that. Yeah, I am going to say that one. I like that one. It makes me happy. Zechariah 9, verse 9.
The book of Zechariah, chapter 9 and verse 9. Rejoice greatly, O daughter of Zion. Yeah. Shout, O daughter of Jerusalem. Behold, thy king is cometh unto thee.
Read again.
Rejoice greatly, O daughter of Zion.
Rejoice greatly, O daughter, meaning the nation of Zion. Go ahead.
Shout, O daughter of Jerusalem.
Be happy. Go ahead.
Behold, thy king is cometh. Thy king cometh unto thee.
Behold, thy king cometh unto thee. Go ahead.
He is just.
He is righteous.
And having salvation.
And this king to come is going to bring forth deliverance. Go ahead.
Lowly.
Humble.
And riding upon an ass.
You'll see him riding upon an ass. Go ahead.
And upon a colt, the foal of an ass.
And riding upon an ass or riding upon the mule. See, ass is in the Bible. You can say ass. It's in the Bible. Don't get mad. Oh, ass, all right? So now, let's get Isaiah 63, verse 1. Yeah. No, you don't wait that. Makes me happy. Makes me happy. Isaiah 63, verse 1. Let's see what Moses described. Because Moses is shown the last days. He was shown the beginning and he was shown the end. That's what Ezra told us. All right? So we're going to see what Moses. Now, Moses didn't give, or wasn't allowed to give, one or the other, too much detail regarding his clothes being washed in the blood of grapes. But what was not given to Moses was passed on to the rest of the prophets. So let's see what Isaiah sees. Go ahead.
The book of Isaiah, chapter 63, verse 1. Who is this that cometh from Edom?
Who is this that cometh from the land of Edom? Go ahead.
With dyed garments from Bozrah.
With dyed garments from Bozrah, Edom's capital.
This that is glorious in his apparel.
He's answering the question. This guy that is glorious in his apparel. Go ahead.
Traveling in the greatness of his strength. I that speak in righteousness, mighty to save.
He's asking and answering his own question through Isaiah. It's me. That's who you see. It's me coming out of Bozrah. It's me coming out of Edom. It's me. It's an answer question situation here. Go ahead. Question response. Go ahead.
Verse 2. Wherefore art thou red in thine apparel?
He's asking himself a question. Why are your garments red? Why are your garments red like this? Go ahead.
And thy garments like him that treadeth in the wine fat.
Like the garments of him that washes his clothes in the blood of grapes. Like Moses said in Genesis 49. Why your clothes look like that? Like you wash them in wine. They're so red. What's that redness on your garments? Moses asked the same question. What's that red stuff on his garment? Go ahead.
Verse 3. I have trodden the winepress alone.
The winepress, when you step on grapes to make wine. I have trodden it alone. So if he's trodden the winepress alone, who are the grapes in his winepress? Go ahead.
And of the people, there was none with me.
I need no help. I did it by myself. Go ahead.
For I will tread them in mine anger.
Oh, now we're getting a clue of who the grapes are. I will tread them. Who's the them? Edom in verse 1. I will tread them in mine anger. Go ahead.
And trample them in my fury.
And I'm going to stomp them out. You know how Jake is evil in the world. He stomp people out. Well, Christ is going to do the same thing in righteousness. Stomp nations out. Give them the beats. Go ahead.
And their blood shall be sprinkled upon my garments.
Now we know what the wine is. It's not wine at all. It's blood. That's what it is.
And he said, and their blood.
Their
He
blood.
ain't talking about grapes. He's talking about people's bodies.
Yep.
That's what he means. And whose people's? Bozrah, Edomites.
Yep.
Then always remember, that's not his blood. He ain't going to be cut where his blood mingle with them. He's just going to be killing.
Yep.
That's a bad scene, ain't it?
Yep.
Big black feet smashing so-called white folks.
Yep.
Because that's what the scene is.
Mm-hmm.
And I will stain all my raiment.
And I will stain all my raiment as if I washed it in grapes. It's going to be blood all over the garment. Blood soaked. Now, this is the reason why Christianity cult members will try so desperately to say, well, Edom is gone, done away with. Well, when did this happen? When did this take place? Never. So it's going to take place, which means what? Edom still exists. Which means there's a nation on the earth that God still hates and God is going to kill. Which means all nations can't be saved because one is condemned and still condemned until now. So you're going to stop that nonsense. Keep telling you, leave us alone.
So now y'all understand what Genesis 49 is about when they get to those verses.
Mm-hmm. Verse 4?
Verse 4. For the day of vengeance is in mine heart, and the year of my redeemed is come.
For the day of vengeance is in mine heart. So God thinks on vengeance, and his son does too. And he says, in the year of my redeemed, in the year of the salvation for my children, my people, is come. So while I'm stomping y'all out, I'm saving them. Go ahead.
And I looked, and there was none to help. And I wondered that there was none to uphold.
No one can fight me. No one can win. No challenge. Go ahead.
Therefore mine own arm brought salvation unto me, and my fury it upheld me.
And my anger kept me going. I killed more and more and more. The anger I got, the more I killed. Right. Not my Caesar. I mean Jesus. Verse 6.
Verse 6. And I will tread down the people in mine anger.
Now he clarifies it more. I will tread down the people in mine anger. Because where's he coming from? Edom, Bozrah. He's telling you where he's coming from. He's giving you the aftermath. I came out of this city. I'm covered in this wine press. I came back alone, covered in blood. But where did he come from? Whose blood he's covered in? Edom's.
You know what's funny, Deacon, as you bring that out? Don't you know that during the so-called dark ages, when we were ruling over there, don't you know that we painted this scene on a lot of the walls over there? Mm-hmm. This is what we're reading. The paintings of Christ smashing in the wine press is illustrated over there. So they knew about this.
Mm-hmm. They know about it. Right. Verse 6.
Verse 6. And I will tread down the people in mine anger.
Go ahead.
And make them drunk in my fury.
Go ahead. A person is drunk. They're all over the place. They're freaking in the dazed up. They ain't gonna do it themselves. They're not gonna do it themselves. They're gonna be all beaten up, destroyed. Go ahead.
And I will bring down their strength to the earth.
And bring them to hell. Put them in captivity. That's what he's saying. Bring down their strength to nothing, to the ground. That's what it means. That's what Moses saw in Genesis 49. That's detail. Numbers 24. Now we have a witch named Balaam who, when Israel entered into the promised land, the heathens out there got fearful. I believe it was the Midianites, and I think the Moabites. I got nervous and ran to this witch to ask him to curse Israel for him. And he said, I can't do it. They're righteous. They're doing the commandments. They're following their God. Their God speaks to me. I can't do anything against them. But I will tell you these things, though. The things he showed me, I'm going to tell you. Numbers 24. And the reason why we know what the Lord showed this guy is because he showed Moses what he showed Balaam. Because we killed this guy. Because Balaam was the one that told the heathen, I can't curse them, but what I can do is give you counsel on how to beat them. Send your women against them. Then once you send your women against them, they'll sin. Then you can overthrow them. So the Most High showed him these things before we eventually killed them, Moabites that tried to hire him, and then we killed him also. So Moses, who wrote Genesis and Numbers and so forth, is showing us what he showed to Balaam. We wouldn't know about this if Moses didn't write it down. Can't read someone's mind. So the Most High is showing Moses what he showed Balaam. That was going to be before us or happen to our people in the last days. You follow? Numbers 24 and verse 14.
The book of Numbers, chapter 24 and verse 14. And now behold, I go unto my people. Come therefore, and I will advertise thee what this people shall do to thy people in the latter days.
What my people shall do to what this people shall do to your people in the last days, latter days. Jump to verse 17. So he's referring to the last days. Verse 17.
Verse 17. I shall see him.
I'm gonna see him. Go ahead.
But not now.
Not now. He ain't gonna come. He ain't here yet.
I shall behold him.
In another life, he's referring to. Another life, I shall see him. Go ahead.
But not nigh.
But I won't be near him because I'm not his people. I will not be near him because I'm not his people. Go ahead.
There shall come a star out of Jacob.
Go ahead.
And a scepter shall rise out of Israel.
A star means a leader, a light. A light out of Jacob. And a scepter means this light will be a leader to our people, a king. Because the king carries a scepter. Remember Genesis 49? The scepter shall not depart from Judah. No longer between his feet. He's saying the same thing, Moses. He's saying the same thing. Go ahead.
And shall smite the corners of Moab. And destroy all the children of Sheth.
All the children of Sheth. All right? Of Satan. So now, on the corners of Moab and the children of Sheth. So now, he's showing Balaam what Israel's going to do in the last days. So we're going to conquer Moab again in the last days. And we're going to conquer all those other nations that worship Sheth and so forth. We're going to conquer them too. Which is all nations. They all worship Satan. That means all nations. So they have no God. So by default, their God's the devil. Because they're godless people. Godless people. Read on.
Verse 18. And Edom shall be a possession.
Here he goes again. And Edom shall be a possession temporarily. Because after a while, we have no need of him. After a while, he got to go. Go ahead.
Seir also shall be a possession for his enemies.
And we shall possess their land because they're not going to be in it no more. Because they're going to kill them out of it. Go ahead.
And Israel shall do valiantly.
And will do well once they're gone. Even more so once they're gone. Go ahead.
Verse 19. Out of Jacob.
Out of Jacob. Go ahead.
Shall come he that shall have dominion.
Out of Jacob shall come he that shall have dominion. Go ahead.
And shall destroy him that remaineth of the city.
Right, and shall destroy him. So who is the he out of Jacob that shall have dominion? Let's get Daniel 7 and 13. I'm going to stay in the Old, because you know the Old Testament Israelites don't believe in the New Testament. So I'm going to stay in the Old as much as I can throughout the whole class. I'm going to stay in the Old. Daniel 7:13. Stay in the Old Testament.
The book of Daniel, chapter 7 and verse 13. I saw in the night visions, and behold, one like the Son of Man.
I saw in the night visions, and behold, one like the Son of Man. One like the Son of Man. Go ahead.
Came with the clouds of heaven.
Came with the clouds of heaven, meaning angels, chariots. Go ahead.
And came to the Ancient of Days.
And this Son of Man approached the Ancient of Days. Son of Man is who? That's right. Two separate entities. Not the Trinity, not one the same. He's being presented, one being presented by the angels to another. Not the same. He's not presenting himself to himself. That doesn't make any damn sense. Otherwise, it will say, the Ancient of Days came to the Ancient of Days. It don't say that. It says, Son of Man came to the Ancient of Days. Read again.
And came to the Ancient of Days.
Read from the top.
I saw in the night visions, and behold, one like the Son of Man came with the clouds of heaven, and came to the Ancient of Days.
And he came to the Ancient of Days. Go ahead.
And they brought him near before him.
And they, the clouds of heaven, brought him, the Son of Man, near before him, the Ancient of Days. Giving you a separation of the two. Y'all follow? Go ahead.
Verse 14.
Watch this.
And there was given him
the him is the Son of Man. There was given him the Son of Man. Go ahead.
And there was given him dominion.
What?
Dominion.
Isn't that what Balaam just said earlier? Out of Jacob shall come him that shall have dominion. He's referring to him. Go ahead.
And glory.
And glory.
And a kingdom that all people, nations, and languages should serve him.
Should serve him. Remember Zechariah 9 said, behold, thy king cometh. Zechariah 9 verse 9. Go ahead.
His dominion is an everlasting dominion, which shall not pass away.
Which will last forever.
And his kingdom that which shall not be destroyed.
Ever. Let's get Psalms 2. Verse 6.
The book of Psalms, chapter 2 and verse 6. Yet have I set my king upon my holy hill of Zion. I will declare the decree. The Lord had said unto me, thou art my son. This day have I begotten thee.
He's talking to his king. Thou art my son. So this king he's going to set up will be his son. Read verse 6 again.
Verse 6. Yet have I set my king upon my holy hill of Zion. I will declare the decree. The Lord hath said unto me.
Unto me. Because this is the king he's talking to, speaking through David. Go ahead.
Thou art my son. This day have I begotten thee.
Go ahead.
Ask of me, and I shall give thee the heathen for thine inheritance.
Ask of me, and I shall give you the heathen for your inheritance or your possession. Like it said in Numbers 24, Edom shall be a possession. Go ahead.
And the uttermost parts of the earth for thy possession.
And everyone else on the earth also shall be your possession. And everything else. Go ahead.
Verse 9. Thou shalt break them with
the them is the heathen, thou his inheritance. Thou, the king who he sets up, who he calls his son, shall do what to them?
Thou shalt break them with a rod of iron. Thou shalt dash them in pieces like a potter's vessel.
You shall dash them to pieces like a potter's vessel. All right? Read on.
Verse 10. Be wise now, therefore, O ye kings.
That's us. Remember, Christ is the King of kings, Lord of lords. If he's the King of kings, who's he the king of? Us. We're the kings. King of kings. He's the Alpha of all the kings and Lord of all the lords. We're the lords. King of kings, Lord of lords. Go ahead.
Be wise now.
Hold on. You're reading a lot of stuff, and I want this thing to really rest on your head. The Bible is telling us all of these great things, right? Y'all hearing this, right? The Most High is promising us the planet Earth and everything else, and we're going to rule this earth with Christ and all of that. Our enemy's objective, although it's written in this Bible and it's crystal clear, the history, everything backs it up, archaeology, all the stuff that we've been talking about, but your enemies want to intercept your mind from what's written in here. In other words, if they could cause you not to believe this, this will have no effect on you. You follow me? Because if you really, really believe what this is really saying about what Christ is saying about us, the world is yours. As a man thinketh, so his reality will fit what he thinks. I'm going to just say it that way. I've been saying it the easy way, and nobody really was picking up on what it said. If you imagine it, and you really believe in that imagination, it will come to pass through the Spirit of Christ and the Most High. That's what this Bible is telling you. So the objective of an enemy is to intercept your belief in this. Yeah, that Bible says that they're great. Yes, that Bible says this. Yes, that Bible says that. But if I can convince them that they are not really the people of the Bible, we got nothing to worry about. That's what, like I told y'all before, that's what that scene in the Ten Commandments was all about. They didn't care whether, I'm talking about the thing with Moses, when they talk about the deliverer. They said there's a story, there's a saying about a deliverer coming to rescue the people out of captivity in Goshen. And the Pharaoh said, well, I don't care whether if it's a deliverer or not. My problem is, do they believe that there's a deliverer? Because if they believe that there is a deliverer, they are not going to work for you. They're not going to serve you. They're not going to worship you because they really believe that they're going to be rescued from the bondage that we put them in. If you really believe this, the world is ours. Go ahead. I'm done.
Christianity is no different from Lion King. Again, Lion King, they go, Hakuna Matata. No worries. Eat unclean animals. You just be free. It's a trouble-free philosophy. Hakuna Matata.
Exactly.
Grace, under grace. Do nothing, under disbelief. It's the same garbage. It's the same thing. Hakuna Matata. Be a homosexual, Hakuna Matata. Be a murderer, Hakuna Matata. Be a drug dealer, Hakuna Matata. It's the same thing. It's the same nonsense. Great Wisdom of Solomon 6. So we sing that song. Oh, that song is nice. Hakuna Matata. It's nice. It's just catchy. And so is sin. Sin's catchy also. Yeah, coon. Yeah, Hakuna Matata. Hakuna Matata. You're funny. Wisdom of Solomon 6. Read verse. Hakuna Matata. Verse 18.
The book of Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 6 and verse 18.
Because the heathen will say, you guys are pushing hate. Why don't you push love? Push love. That's the Hakuna Matata again.
Right. That's another way of intercepting you from what the Bible is really saying.
So let's see what love is.
Yeah, Deacon Nathan, make that statement you said that he didn't say.
Oh, Hakuna Matata.
No, he said.
Trouble-free philosophy. It's
we pushing hate, man, but
we're pushing hate.
Love.
We should push love.
Say what you say again.
Oh, you're pushing hate. You should push love.
Love. But the love began with pay the people 400-something years the free labor.
Yeah.
Your love didn't begin like that. Why we have to show you love? You have not paid your due yet. Yeah, how the hell you don't pay me? I work for you. You want me to love you? Mm-hmm. Yeah, it make no damn sense whatsoever, man.
Verse 17.
The book of Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 6 and verse 17.
Yeah.
For the very true beginning of her is the desire of discipline.
The desire of discipline. Her is wisdom. Go ahead.
And the care of discipline is love.
Oh, the care of discipline is love. Go ahead.
And love is the keeping of her laws.
Oh, love is keeping God's laws. And God's laws says we're going to inherit the nations as slaves. That's what the Bible says. That's my desire. It's our desire. Go ahead.
And the giving heed unto her laws is the assurance of incorruption.
Of immortality. Go ahead.
And incorruption maketh us near unto God.
Go ahead. Watch this.
Therefore the desire of wisdom bringeth to a kingdom.
The desire of wisdom brings you to a kingdom. To rule. Because when you have a kingdom, what are you? You're a king. What does a king have? Subjects. People to serve him in that kingdom. Go ahead.
Verse 21. If your delight be then in thrones and scepters.
As a man thinketh, so is he. If your delight be then in thrones and in what?
And scepters.
And scepters. Like the Son of God is going to receive a scepter. Go ahead.
O ye kings of the people.
O ye kings of the people. Like he said in Psalms 2. Kings of the people. Go ahead.
Honor wisdom that ye may reign forevermore.
Over who? Everyone and everything. Forevermore. Go ahead.
As for wisdom, what she is and how she
that's
came
all I
up.
want. That's all I want. That's all I want. So go back to Psalms 2. So wisdom brings you to a kingdom. Psalms 2 and verse 10.
The book of Psalms, chapter 2 and verse 10. Be wise now, therefore, O ye kings, be instructed, ye judges of the earth.
Go ahead.
Serve the Lord with fear and rejoice with trembling.
It means serve God with fear and trembling. That's Philippians 2:12. That's where Paul got it from. Serve the Lord with fear and trembling. Go ahead.
Verse 12. Kiss the Son.
Kiss the Son, the same Son whom he was well pleased, who he has begotten in verse 7, who was set upon his holy hill in verse 6. Go ahead.
Kiss the Son, lest he be angry.
You kiss someone, you love them. Love the Son, mean keep the commandments, lest what?
Lest he be angry.
Go ahead.
And he perish from the way.
And he kills you. Go ahead.
When his wrath is kindled but a little. Blessed are all they that put their trust in him.
Now, with the Old Testament Israelites it says son right here. Son means kiss the purity. In that word, the word son is purity there. Well, I want to know who the Son of God is in verse 7. Thou art my son. Thou art my purity in verse 7. That made no type of sense to me at all. Purity is going to inherit the nations. Purity is going to inherit the nations forever. Purity does that. Wow, you deep and dumb. Let's get Daniel 7. Yeah, deep dummies. No, Micah, no, I want Deuteronomy 18. Deuteronomy 18, verse 18.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 18, verse 18. I will raise them up a prophet from among their brethren, like unto thee, and will put my words in his mouth, and he shall speak unto them all that I shall command him. And it shall come to pass that whosoever will not hearken unto my words, which he shall speak in my name, I will require it of him.
Read 18 again.
Verse 18. I will raise them up a prophet from among their brethren.
From among their brethren, out of Jacob. Remember Numbers 24, Genesis 49, out of Jacob. Go ahead.
Like unto thee.
Like unto, this is Moses telling us, the Lord said, this is Moses telling us what the Most High said to him regarding the Messiah. Read again.
I will raise them up a prophet from among their brethren, like unto thee.
Like unto you, Moses. Go ahead.
And will put my words in his mouth. And he shall speak unto them all that I shall command him.
Go ahead.
And it shall come to pass that whosoever will not hearken unto my words, which he shall speak in my name,
on my behalf, go ahead,
I will require it of him.
I'm going to kill him. That's what he means. I'm going to kill him. That's what he's saying. So he's telling Moses, I'm going to raise up someone among your people who's going to be like you. You're the mediator. This will be the new mediator. All right? Let's see what that is. Let's see what that is. Let's get Micah 5 and 1. Micah 5, verse 1 to 2.
The book of Micah, chapter 5 and verse 1.
Yep.
Now gather thyself in troops, O daughter of troops. He hath laid siege against us. They shall smite the judge of Israel with a rod upon the cheek.
Read it again.
Micah 5 verse 1.
Yeah.
Now gather thyself in troops, O daughter of troops. He hath laid siege against us. They shall smite the judge of Israel with a rod upon the cheek.
Go ahead. The judge of Israel is Christ. Go ahead.
But thou, though thou be little among the thousands of Judah.
Go ahead. Not the wealthiest. Remember, the Messiah was born in Nazareth. That was the hood. That's where he was raised. He was raised in Nazareth. That's why it says little among the thousands. He wasn't going to be in some rich family, some wealthy family. Okay? This little means the least among. All right, read again. Little, though thou be, start from there.
Though thou be little among the thousands of Judah.
Go ahead.
Yet out of thee shall he come forth unto me.
Yet, so it says, though thou be little among the thousands of Judah, yet out of thee, Judah, shall what?
Come forth unto me.
Yet out of thee what?
Yet out of thee shall he come forth unto me.
Stop. Yet out of thee, Judah, shall he come forth unto me. Where is that written before? Don't call out. Yet out of thee, Judah, shall he come forth unto me. Let's see who remembers. Let's see. New hands. No one knows. I'm going to start calling brothers. All the way in the back, in the middle.
Shalom, brother Yashan.
Shalom.
Daniel's 7:13.
Thank God. Yes. Please read it. Please read it for us so we can know what you're talking about. What a wonderful phrase.
I saw in the night vision, and behold, one like unto the Son of Man came with the clouds of heaven, and came to the Ancient of Days, and they brought him near before him.
Okay, so which part is the Micah 5 and 2?
And they brought him near before him.
Thank you. When they brought him near before him. When they brought him, the Son of Man, near before him. Mike is giving you his tribe. The Son of Man in that verse, Son of Man, remember Ezekiel's called Son of Man. Daniel's called Son of Man. So Ezekiel was Levi. He wasn't Judah. We're all son of men here. All of us are son of men here. But he's telling you, Mike is telling you which tribe the one that was presented in the heavens would come from. You understand? The Son of Man was brought near before him. Micah says Judah. He can come out of Judah. He'll be the least among them. He won't be well off. He won't be a wealthy family. He'll be the least. Read again, Micah 5 and 2 again.
Micah chapter 5 and verse 2. But thou, Bethlehem, Ephrathah, though thou be little among the thousands of Judah.
Out of the thousands of who?
Of Judah.
Go ahead.
Yet out of thee
Judah, go ahead.
Shall he come forth unto me.
Shall he come forth unto me as the Heavenly Father. Shall he come forth or near unto me in Daniel 7. He be out of Judah. Go ahead.
That is to be ruler in Israel.
To be what?
To be ruler in Israel.
To have dominion. Numbers 24. The scepter shall not depart from him. Saying the same thing over and over and over again. Y'all follow now? All right. Go ahead.
Whose goings forth have been from of old, from everlasting.
So he shall come forth now unto him whose goings forth have been from of old, from everlasting. Who's that? No, it is not Christ. I'm saying Christ. He shall come forth near unto me whose goings have been of old and everlasting. Who's that? The Father. The Ancient of Days, whose goings forth have been from of old and of everlasting. He shall come forth unto me, and he shall come out of where? Judah. Out of the tribe of Judah. You understand? Isaiah 65 verse 9. Out of Judah shall come forth a ruler, it says, over in Israel. Out of these shall he come forth unto me, that is to be ruler in Israel. Isaiah 65 and verse 9.
The book of Isaiah, chapter 65 and verse 9. And I will bring forth a seed out of Jacob.
I'll bring forth a seed out of Jacob. Go ahead.
And out of Judah.
And out of Judah. And he's saying it again. Out of Jacob. A scepter shall come out of Jacob. And so then he says, out of Judah. Go ahead.
An inheritor of my mountains.
Remember, an inheritor of my mountains. Go ahead. His land. Go ahead.
And mine elect.
And the people. Go ahead.
Shall inherit it.
And we shall inherit his inheritance, or be joint heirs. That's where Paul got it from. Joint heirs. Read again.
And I will bring forth a seed out of Jacob.
Go ahead.
And out of Judah, an inheritor of my mountains.
Go ahead.
And mine elect shall inherit it.
Go ahead.
And my servant shall dwell there.
So an inheritor of my mountains. Let's get what I want. Jeremiah 30 and verse 20. Yeah.
Y'all see, after reading that, think about the Negro. Okay, they call him the Negro, right? But out of the Bible, it's saying that these Negroes, when they repent, are going to be joint heirs with Christ. That's just think about the redemptive power to bring you from, like I said, I had that conversation with that Edomite when I was at work. He said, God is good, but he ain't that powerful. He can't take you Negroes and make y'all lords over us. And that's exactly what we're going to do. That's exactly what the Most High going to do. To shock his whole, crack his cranium. The Most High going to make that thing happen. Okay? Just like that. So just think about the words that Bible just used. To be joint heirs with Christ. That means everything that Christ's ruling, you're going to be ruling with him. And your wife looking at you like you just an old nigga. No, you ain't no nigga. You're the gods of this earth. That's what the Most High is saying. Right. That's what the Most High is saying. And that's in God's language for you to get it.
You know, what I thought bringing out is two forms of knowledge at one time. I hope you'll meditate on what he bringing out. The Son of Man, he brought the Son of Man into God, right? But the Son of Man suffered like we suffer. They're spitting in his face and do all that. That was that dude right there. We did that too. We better be ready for our judgment. That was that dude. We did that too. Curse him out, did that. That's why you guys don't understand when you watch what's coming out. God is telling you don't know who you messing with. These are his children. Don't mess with the Israelite, period.
And that's the reason why they say that's why the Christianity cults say that we're not Israelites, because they know that if we are, they're to be held accountable to the highest caliber. Because if we're not God's people, then they're good. Because they got the land back. The government, Esau put them back in the land. So they're carefree. Hakuna Matata. Right. But if you are God's chosen people, as you say you are,
right.
We're screwed. We're done.
Meaning the apple of God's eye.
That's we're God's jewel. We're finished. No, there's no amount of sorry you can give, sorries or reparations. We're just finished. So we have to do away with you. You guys say you guys are cast away or you're Gentiles. Then when you ask the heathens, okay, we're Gentiles. Which ones are we? Africans. Which group? We're all children of God. Okay, which ones? Gentiles. Which one? Hamites. Which group? When you line them up, you're asking too many questions. Oh, you're going off. No, I'm answering the right questions. That's why they're getting mad. Kill a nigga, kill him. That's what happens. You have to ask the right questions. Because Esau expects you, through the power of his redness or paleness, to just believe. You're a Gentile. I'm good. I'm a Gentile. Sweet. I got it. No problem. Thank you, Esau. Thanks, Daddy. No, them days is over. We're Gentiles. Okay, which ones? Oh, you're Hamites. Okay, which Hamites are we? Canaanites. Well, Canaan had mad sons. He had 10 tribes. So which group of Canaanites are we? I play with it. I like to have fun with it. It's fun to me. They never answer the question. They'll never. Listen, when you can counter these apologetics, they say to you, we're Africans. Ask them, according to the Bible, which group of Africans are we in the Bible? Show me. With evidence. Show it to me. You're not going to get no answer. Because they don't want you. Because you know why? They don't know. And by them saying they don't know, that proves you're Israelites. Because your identity is what? Unknown. What was going to happen to Israel? The nation, that's trying to be what? Cut off. And not be in remembrance. So we fulfill prophecy by our identity not being known. So by default, you're saying we're Jake because you can't answer my question. You understand? That's how fun it is, don't these idiots?
Exactly. The same point, like this thing that we read all the time says exactly what Deacon Ithon just said. Just the regular definition of Ham in the Bible dictionary. It's saying the same thing there. The man goes through and he says, listen, Ham was the father of he names all 4 sons, which constitute that whole continent of what you call Africa. Yep. When you break it all the tribes come out of those 4 sons. Then he comes outside of that and says, but not the Negro. So he excludes the Negro from the whole the whole continent of what you call Africa. For him to say that you did not come out of Ham, that means they have to know where you came from in order for them to say you did not come out of Ham. But the fact that they didn't tell you proves that they do know. Because you cannot say that you did not come from X, Y, and Z if you don't know who they are. You have to know where they came from in order to say they did not come from Ham. You have to know where they came from. And they have that in their books and their prestigious colleges and all of that. They got that information in there that you are forbidden to go check out.
And what the heathen will say is, it doesn't matter. We're all one in Christ. Okay, that's fine. But when the East Indians acknowledge Christianity, they know they're East Indians. When the Chinese acknowledge Christianity, they acknowledge they're Chinese. When the Arabs, they acknowledge their culture. They uphold their culture. They pride themselves in their culture while in Christianity. But when they come to us, it doesn't matter. You'll find that odd?
I think you got to say that again, Deacon.
Okay, I'll say it again. In Christianity,
that was heavy. You got to take it slow.
Heathens that accept Christianity.
Listen good to what he's saying.
Chinese accept Christianity, but they still acknowledge their culture as Chinese people. East Indians accept Christianity, yet they acknowledge themselves in their culture, in East Indian culture. Arabs acknowledge Christianity, some of them, but still embrace their Arabic culture. When it comes to us, it doesn't matter. We're all one. Well, how come the nations who accept Christianity don't feel that way? They embrace their culture, their past, their present, and they all walk with each other. As Christians, when it comes to the Negro, Hispanic, and Native American, oh, you're Gentiles. Ambiguous, unknown Gentiles. We can't undefined people. Doesn't matter in Christ Jesus. So then it shouldn't matter to other nations then either. They shouldn't be Chinese then. They should be children of God. They shouldn't be Arabs. They should be children of God. They shouldn't be East Indian. They should be children of God.
Let me make it clear.
You understand?
What you're saying. I'm going to make it clear. What Deacon Ithon is saying is that when the so-called Chinese join the Christian church, they are still allowed to bring on their Chinese heritage into Christianity, and they are still recognized as quote-unquote Christians. Right. When the Arabs when the Arabs call themselves Christians, they can still speak Arabic. They can still do the quote unquote Arabic things and the rest of it, and they're still accepted as Christians. But when you do it, when you come into quote unquote Christianity, they want you to just forget anything about your past. You can't bring nothing about yourself to it.
Yep. Just ambiguous.
Because they know that your real self will shatter the whole thing.
Yep.
You're the subject about what they're reading. That's the problem.
Yep. Jeremiah 30, verse 20.
The book of Jeremiah, chapter 30 and verse 20. Their children also shall be as aforetime.
We shall be as we once were. When Simba said, he goes, you will be as you once were before. Remember. Bethink yourselves. That's what he's saying to Simba in the movie. Bethink yourselves. Remember. He kept saying it again and again. Remember. Remember. You shall be as aforetime. Go ahead.
And their congregation shall be established before me.
Go ahead.
And I will punish all that oppress them.
And I will punish all that oppress them. Go ahead.
And their nobles shall be of themselves.
And our leaders shall be of ourselves. Not heathens, not Trump, not Clinton, of our own selves. Go ahead.
And their governor.
And our governor or the ruler, go ahead.
Shall proceed from the midst of them.
Deuteronomy 18:18. It says their governor shall proceed from the midst of them. Go ahead.
And I will cause him to draw near.
Who's the I here? The Most High. I will cause him, the governor, to draw near. Sound familiar? We read it earlier. In Isaiah 65 and where else? Micah and where else? And Daniel. Correct. It's redundant. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm going to show you, Aton, what you bring forward is very dangerous, man. Listen, you just saying that God promised us our leader's going to come out of us, right? Yeah. So the other nation, let's say the people from India, for example, their teachers, that India teachers, those are their people. So they're going to make sure they teach them right. But our teachers are other people. How the hell they going to care about us? You understand what I'm saying? You got white folks being your teacher. How the hell he know? Or she know about you? But when you go to the other nation, they're teaching over themselves. Yeah. But when they get to us, that's the confusion. Hey, just accept her. Accept her. No, that's confusion. That's why they give our kids these type of drugs, man. You understand? Because their nation not there to teach our kids anything. We're supposed to teach our own kids. But they set these other Edomite in our neighborhood to destroy us as a people, man. They're not there to help us, man.
Read from the top again, 21.
Jeremiah chapter 30, verse 21. And their nobles shall be of themselves, and their governor shall proceed from the midst of them.
And keep that in mind. And their governor shall proceed from the midst of them. Go ahead.
And I will cause him to draw near.
Go ahead.
And he shall approach unto me.
We just read that. And I will cause him to draw near, and he shall approach unto me, or draw near unto me. And Micah, and then Daniel. Go ahead. He'll be our governor, which will come out of what tribe? And he's called what in Daniel 7? The Son of Man. Go ahead.
For who is this that engaged his heart to approach unto me?
Is the question answer? Is a question response? Who is this guy approaching to me? He's asking us because in this time we don't know who he's talking about. He said, who's this guy's going to rule over you that's coming there before me? How's he up here with me? If he's going to come out of you, how's he up here with me? Because it's his son approaching unto him. That's going to eventually proceed out of you through sexual intercourse. He's talking about. Go ahead.
For who is this that engaged his heart to approach unto me?
Go ahead.
Saith the Lord.
Saith the Lord. So, and their governor shall proceed from the midst of them, and I will cause him to draw near, and he shall approach unto me. And he asks later on, who is this approaching unto me? That shall be your governor, that shall proceed out of you, or come out of your people. Let's get Isaiah 9 verse 6. Governor. Remember that word? Isaiah 9 verse 6. Let's see what this governor is called. Let's see what this governor is. Maybe it's a regular man. Regular guy, because you know they don't believe in the Messiah. They say, oh, there's no son of God. It's only Yah. Yah. Like Busta Rhymes. Yah. Yah. No one else. Just Yah. That's it. Yah. Isaiah 9 and 6, please.
The book of Isaiah, chapter 9 and verse 6. For unto us a child is born.
So for unto us a child is born. Unto us, Israel, a child is born. Go ahead. Now, if a child is born, right, and it's a male, what is it? What's it called? Oh yeah, but what is it? What is he to the father? There you go. Read again.
For unto us a child is born.
Go ahead.
Unto us a son is given.
Unto us a son is given. Whose son could he be given? Whose son is he? The father's son. Read again from the top.
For unto us a child is born. Unto us a son is given.
Watch this.
And the government shall be upon his shoulder.
That sound familiar? And the government shall be upon his shoulder. You read earlier in Isaiah 60, Jeremiah 30, verse 21, the governor which shall proceed from you, who shall approach unto me. Go ahead, read again.
For unto us a child is born. Unto us a son is given.
A son is given, a son is offered. For what purpose? We'll get that later on. A son is born, and unto us a son is given. Go ahead.
And the government shall be upon his shoulder.
Go ahead.
And his name shall be called Wonderful.
And his name, the name of the son, he shall be called Wonderful.
Counselor.
He shall be called Counselor. These are his names, by the way, his names. Go ahead.
The Mighty God.
Whoa, what man is called the Mighty God? What man got that title in the Bible? Was it King David? No. Unto us the son is born. Unto us the son is given, and he shall be called the Counselor, Wonderful, and he's called the Mighty God. So where did he reside before he was given to us? In the heavens. Read again.
For unto us a child is born. Unto us a son is given. And the government shall be upon his shoulder. And his name shall be called Wonderful, Counselor, the Mighty God.
Notice his capitals. Wonderful, W capital. Capital is emphasis. It says Wonderful, Counselor, the Mighty God. Capital G, the Mighty God. Or the Almighty God that spoke to Moses. In Exodus 6 and 3. Angel in the bush. That's who was talking to him. Go ahead. Yeah, just a little bit. Go ahead.
The everlasting Father.
And he's called the everlasting Father because he was there from the beginning with his father. And the father used him to make everybody else. So he's a father too. Go ahead.
The Prince of Peace.
And he's called the Prince because his father is King. Prince of Peace. And he's our Prince. Our noble one. Go ahead.
Verse 7. Of the increase of his government.
Of the increase of his government. So if he has a government, what is he? A governor. Go ahead.
Of the increase of his government and peace, there shall be no end.
No end mean no end. That go back to Daniel 7:14. Everlasting shall not be passed away. His kingdom shall last forever. Same thing. Go ahead.
Upon the throne of David.
Stop. So if he's sitting on that throne of David, what child must you be of the sitting that throne of David? Judah. And this child that's born and given unto us is called the Mighty God. So how the Old Testament Israelites explain this chapter? I need to understand that. How they bypass this. I'm confused. Unto us the son is born, the son is given. He's called the Mighty God, and he shall sit upon the throne of David. Who else could it be? It can't be David. David ain't called the Mighty God. His government ended. 40 years, he died. Ended. Solomon took it, 40 years, he died. It ended. Read verse 7 from the top.
Verse 7. Of the increase of his government and peace there shall be no end upon the throne of David and upon his kingdom, to order it.
To establish order. Go ahead.
And to establish it with judgment and with justice from henceforth even forever.
He establish it with what?
With justice from henceforth even forever.
So the son of that son that's born and given unto us, who comes out of Judah, who's also known as the Mighty God of old, shall establish his kingdom forever, his dominion forever, with justice and judgment. Yes.
You see what at the top of that verse it says, of the increase of his government. Where does that increase begin? Where does that increase begin? I want all of y'all to pay attention. Where does that increase begin? I want to smash Christianity. That's the reason why I'm reading this. Where does that increase begin? Everybody's scared to raise their hands up. Stick your hands up high. You don't act like that lion that we were looking at earlier. Yeah, cool them, but whatever that thing was. Okay, stick your hand up high if you're confident. Raise your hand if you're sure.
Shalom.
Shalom.
Yahushua.
Yahushua.
The 144,000.
That's where it begins. Okay, give me more. I want better than that. That's true, but the increase of his government. Think about the word increase. Increase from what?
From Judah.
Okay, you remember we read earlier? I don't know if you were thinking about this. When it says, who shall rouse him up?
Right.
Rousing up,
prophets.
this was raising up. The Most High is going to increase us from that point when he start to repentance and we start to turn around. So when you see order happening in here, that's part of it. When you finish the verse. Read the verse on. I'm going to be quiet after this. I just wanted y'all to see that because this ain't church.
Isaiah, the book of Isaiah, chapter 9 and verse 7. Of the increase of his government.
The increase means to magnify, meaning to rouse him up. Go ahead.
And peace, there shall be no end.
And it's going to raise up till it ain't going to be no end at all. The mustard seed, so you're going to understand. Go ahead.
Upon the throne of David and upon his kingdom to order it.
You see that word order? That's all I wanted, Deacon. To order it. That's the reason why we have order. Okay, because the Most High said we're going to have order. Okay, that's the reason why we have rules. That's the reason why we have order and structure and organization, ranks. That's the reason why we have all of that, because it's biblical and it's godly.
It would clarify that. It says the nobles should be of their own people, the nobles. Who's going to set them up? He is. You're going to be noble. You be the noble. You, over 10 cities. You over 20 cities. He going to set the nobles up of our own people over us. He going to do that. Not even, you don't got to go into a ballot box and vote Esau nonsense. No. Christ said, no, that's the leader right there. Okay, good enough for me. I ain't questioning nothing. I'm going to think about gum and water in the kingdom. Keep my mind clear and dumb as I possibly can make it. Don't think nothing stupid. Lord's will. Let's get,
Want me to finish it?
Yeah, finish it up.
And to establish it with judgment and with justice from henceforth, even forever.
Go ahead.
The zeal of the Lord of hosts will perform this.
And the Most High says it's going to happen. His zeal of this happening is going to happen. The Most High said it, and it shall be done. That's his zeal. Read verse 8.
Verse 8. The Lord sent a word unto Jacob.
That word goes back to that son, back in verse 6. A word unto Jacob. Go ahead.
And it hath lighted upon Israel.
That's that star in Numbers. And they have lighted that star upon Israel. That's saying the same exact thing. That star is a great light. That's what it's going into. All right? Let's get Zechariah 3, verse 8. Zechariah 3, verse 8.
The book of Zechariah, chapter 3, and verse 8.
Yep.
Hear now, O Joshua the high priest, thou and thy fellows that sit before thee, for they are men wondered at. For behold, I will bring forth my servant, the branch.
Read again.
Hear now, O Joshua the high priest, thou and thy fellows that sit before thee.
This is referring to the time of Persian captivity when Zerubbabel and Joshua were rebuilding the temple. And the Lord is revealing mysteries unto Joshua. Read again from the top.
Hear now, O Joshua the high priest, thou and thy fellows that sit before thee.
Like Zerubbabel and the other elders. Go ahead.
For they are men wondered at.
For
behold, I will bring forth my servant, the branch.
In time, I will bring forth my servant, the branch. See how this word's in all caps? Emphasis. Emphasis. The branch. Let's do the branches. Jump to chapter 6, verse 12.
Zechariah chapter 6 and verse 12. And speak unto him, saying, Thus saith the Lord of hosts, saying, Behold, the man whose name is the branch.
Behold, the man whose name, another title, aside from Wonderful and Counselor, whose name is the branch or the vine, same thing, go ahead.
Whose name is the branch, and he shall grow up out of his place.
He shall grow up out of his place. Keep that in mind. He shall grow up out of his place. Go ahead.
And he shall build the temple of the Lord.
Go ahead.
Even he shall build the temple of the Lord, and he shall bear the glory.
He shall bear the glory. Go ahead.
And shall sit and rule upon his throne.
He shall sit and rule upon his throne. Who sits upon the throne? The king does, right? Go ahead.
And he shall be a priest upon his throne.
And he shall be a priest on top of being the king upon his throne. So he's a king and he's a priest. Where's that written earlier in class today? Let's see who remembers. Your mind got to go back. We read it earlier. Hopefully y'all paying attention, not just looking at me. You brother, stand up since you called him up first.
All right, shalom. Genesis 49 and 10.
Yes. Read it. Very good.
It says,
that boy good.
The scepter shall not depart from Judah.
That's
nor,
the throne. Go ahead. The kingship. Go ahead.
Nor a lawgiver from between his feet.
Nor what?
A lawgiver from between his feet.
What did the priests do? They're the lawgivers. He's repeating what Moses said in Genesis 49. Okay, read again, verse 13 again.
Verse 13, Zechariah chapter 6:13. Even he shall build the temple of the Lord, and he shall bear the glory.
The temple here is referring to the kingdom. Go ahead.
And shall sit and rule upon his throne.
Go ahead.
And he shall be a priest upon his throne.
Go ahead.
And the council of peace.
Oh, and the council of peace. Go ahead.
Shall be between them both.
Between them both. So we understand here that this king that's going to rule, it says, shall bear the glory, shall be sit upon a throne ruling, and shall be a priest also upon the throne. So now remember, remember there were no more kings at this point. This is no more kings here. The kings are gone. The last king was Zedekiah. This is after Zedekiah, after him. All right?
That means that the prophecy was about Christ.
Right, exactly. Let's get Isaiah 11 and verse 1 about the branch. Let's see where the branch will come from. Isaiah 11 and verse 1. Like I said before, the Bible repeats itself over and over. It says, he shall grow up out. Remember I said earlier in Zechariah, he shall grow up. Let me get it again. Hold that. Hold on a second. Let me get it again. It says in verse Zechariah 6 and 12, behold, the man whose name is the branch, and he shall grow up out of his place. He shall grow up out of his place. Keep that part in mind. Read that now, Isaiah 11, verse 1.
The book of Isaiah, chapter 11 and verse 1.
Watch this.
And there shall come forth a rod out of the stem of Jesse.
Stop. Who's Jesse? David's father. What child of Jesse then? Judah. Now, at this time, David is dead and gone. This is Isaiah's time. David is gone. Read again.
And there shall come forth a rod out of the stem of Jesse.
Go ahead.
And a branch shall grow out of his roots.
And a what?
And a branch shall grow out of his roots.
So this branch will come out of what tribe? Judah. Judah. All right? He will come out of Jesse. He will come out of his root. His roots is Jesse's roots. Loins. Exactly. Let's get Isaiah 53 verse 1. Shall grow up out. Grow out of his roots. Or grow up out of the land. Isaiah 53 and verse 1.
The book of Isaiah, chapter 53 and verse 1. Who hath believed our report? And to whom is the arm of the Lord revealed?
The arm of the Lord is his son, is referring to. But who will believe it? Because Israel didn't believe during this time. He'll be a son of God, and they don't believe it now. Read on.
For he shall grow up before him as a tender plant.
Stop. Read again.
For he shall grow up before him as a tender plant.
He shall grow up. That's that branch. He shall grow up out of the land. He shall grow up before him as a tender plant. That branch. Go ahead.
And as a root out of a dry ground.
Israel is that dry ground, lacking understanding, lacking nourishment, lacking the water, understanding. He'll grow out of a dry ground. Go ahead.
He had no form of comeliness.
Nor comeliness.
He had no form nor comeliness. And when we shall see him, there is no beauty that we should desire him.
He won't be a pretty boy, is what he's saying. Read on.
He is despised and rejected of men.
He is despised. No, I'm sorry. Leave that part out. Get Ezekiel 34. Ezekiel 34, verse 29. Ezekiel 34 and 29, real quick. We'll go back to verse 3.
The book of Ezekiel, chapter 34 and verse 29. And I will raise up for them a plant of renown, And they shall be no more consumed with hunger in the land, neither bear the shame of the heathen anymore.
Read again.
And I will raise up for them a plant of renown.
A plant of renown, meaning renown means fame. A powerful plant. A plant or a branch of renown. Go ahead. And they what?
And they shall no more be consumed with hunger in the land.
Go ahead.
Neither bear the shame of the heathen anymore.
I mean, captivity ends when this branch is given to us and ruling over us, set as our governor. Go back to Isaiah 53, verse 3.
The book of Isaiah, chapter 53 and verse 3. He is despised and rejected of men, a man of sorrows and acquainted with grief.
So the he is telling you that the plant in verse 2 is a he. Grow up before him and as a tender plant. So it says, read again, he what?
He is despised and rejected of men.
He is despised and rejected of men. Go ahead.
A man of sorrows.
Misery.
And acquainted with grief. And we hid as it were our faces from him. He was despised and we esteemed him not.
He was despised and we didn't respect him. Hold that. Let's get Psalms 22, verse 1. We're going to go back to Isaiah again. We're going to go back and forth. Psalms 22, verse 1.
The book of Psalms, chapter 22 and verse 1. My God, why hast thou forsaken me? Why art thou so far from helping me and from the words of my roaring?
My God, why hast thou forsaken me? He's repeating. This is David speaking now. All right, and this is the Lord speaking through David in the Psalms. Go ahead. Verse 2.
Verse 2. O my God, I cry in the daytime, but thou hearest not, and in the night season, and I'm not silent. But thou art holy, O thou that inhabitest the praises of Israel. Our fathers trusted in thee. They trusted, and thou didst deliver them.
Go ahead.
They cried unto thee and were delivered. They trusted in thee and were not confounded.
Verse 6, watch this.
But I am a worm and no man.
I'm considered a worm. Stepped on, walked on, not respected, not acknowledged. I'm a worm and no man. Go ahead.
But I am a worm and no man, a reproach of men, and despised of the people.
And despised of the people. Remember Isaiah 53 verse 3 said, despised of men. Go back to Isaiah again. No, we don't. We don't down to Psalms. We down to verse 8.
Verse 7.
Yeah.
All they that see me laugh me to scorn. They shoot out the lip.
Curse me out.
They shake their head, saying, he trusted on the Lord that he would deliver him. Let him deliver him, seeing he delighted in him.
Right. Let him save him. He loved God so much, let him save him. Get wisdom of Psalm 2, verse 13. Solomon saw the same thing that David's saying. He saw the same thing that David saw, or David spoke of. Wisdom of Solomon chapter 2, verse 9. I want that. No, I want verse 13.
The book of Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 2 and verse 13. He professes to have the knowledge of God, and he calleth himself the child of the Lord.
Right, child of God, son of God. Go ahead.
He was made to reprove our thoughts.
He was made to correct us.
He is grievous unto us even to behold.
We can't stand him.
For his life is not like other men's. His ways are of another fashion.
Go ahead.
We are esteemed of him as counterfeits.
Right, he counts us as being phony. Go ahead.
He abstaineth from our ways as from filthiness.
He don't be around us.
He pronounceth the end of the just to be blessed, and maketh his boast that God is his father.
That's what Christ is doing. Go ahead.
Let us see if his words be true.
Then this is the ungodly speaking. Let us see if what he says is true. Go ahead. Remember, it said they shoot at the lip in Psalms 22. They shoot the lip. I'm despised of men. Saying the same thing. What are they going to say to him again? Verse 17.
Let us see if his words be true.
Let us see if his words are true.
And let us prove what shall happen in the end of him.
Let's see what his end will be. Go ahead.
For if the just man be the son of God,
if he is truly the son of God, go ahead.
He will help him.
Let him help him.
And deliver him from the hand of his enemies.
That's Psalms 22 again. Saying the same exact thing David said. Psalm is repeating what David said. Let's get Isaiah 53 again, in verse 3 to verse 5.
Isaiah chapter 53 and verse 3. He is despised and rejected of men, a man of sorrows and acquainted with grief. And we hid, as it were, our faces from him. He was despised and we esteemed him not.
We didn't respect him. Go ahead.
Surely he had borne our griefs
Surely he hath borne our griefs. Go ahead.
and carried out our
He's
sorrows.
a man of sorrows. Go ahead.
Yet we did esteem him stricken,
Go ahead.
smitten of God, and afflicted.
We esteemed him we esteemed him as someone being hurt by God. This is God punishing him for being wicked. That's how we saw it. He was being beaten for us. We didn't see it that we esteemed him as a man being bitten and afflicted of God. That's how the wicked of us saw it. Like I said in Wisdom of Solomon 2. Go ahead.
Verse 5. But he was wounded for our transgressions.
But he was being beaten not because he was being smitten of God for wrong he did, but he was wounded for what?
But he was wounded for our transgressions.
But he was being wounded for our transgressions. Go ahead.
He was bruised for our iniquities.
He was bruised for our iniquities. Possessive words. Us. Our. Go ahead.
The chastisement of our peace was upon him.
Of what?
The chastisement of our peace was upon him.
The Prince of Peace. The chastisement of our peace was upon him. His death will bring us peace. Will bring our nation together. Go ahead.
And with his stripes we are healed.
And with his death we are brought back together. We're given a second chance to repent as a nation to eventually come out of these curses. Go ahead.
All we like sheep have gone astray. We have turned everyone to his own way. The Lord hath laid on him the iniquity of us all.
The Lord hath laid on him the iniquity of us all. Who? All who? All the sheep. Who's the sheep? The sheep of Israel. That's what he's talking about. Yep.
As we was reading through this, through these verses, and it said that when he was being beat, talking about Christ, y'all with me, right? While he was being beat, we did not know at the time that he was being, because he didn't do anything wrong, right. And we thought he was getting beat because of his own doings. Right. And we didn't esteem any of what happened to him in terms of us. I want y'all to relish that thought for a minute. Now, all these years have passed by. We're coming up now, and then we realize this man was innocent, and he was being beat, crucified, tortured for us. And all the time back there, we didn't see it that way. We just thought he did something wicked, not realizing that he was going through all of this for us. Now that you know that, because he knew it. He knew he didn't sin. Christ knew he didn't sin. Y'all follow me? But we did not relish that thought. We did not realize that he was doing it for us. But now today, you do know. So what should this do for our actions now? Now that we know that this was done for us. That's the more importance in understanding what this salvation is all about. And he did that, and he didn't say a word. He took all of that punishment, knowing that it was for us. We didn't. He didn't open his mouth at all. They hit him in the head, mocked him, spit on him, did all of that. And he kept his mouth closed because he said, I'm dying for the Israelites. And we didn't even esteem that. Now that you know that he kept his mouth shut when he knew, how should we be? Now that we found out that this man went through all of this for us. And here we can't even deal with each other properly. Just something to think about. Go ahead, Deacon.
Wisdom of Solomon 2, verse 19.
The book of Wisdom of
Verse
Solomon.
18, so you don't lose the thought. Verse 18 again.
The book of Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 2 and verse 18. For if the just man be the son of God, he will help him and deliver him from the hand of his enemies.
That's what he was saying to him on the cross. He was saying those things to him while he was on the cross suffering. Verse 19.
Verse 19. Let us examine him with despitefulness and torture, that we may know his meekness and prove his patience.
Read again.
Let us examine him with despitefulness and torture, that we may know his meekness and prove his patience.
That's why we have to understand the Messiah, when he was being cursed out by his own people, spoken evil of, ridiculed, and criticized, he said nothing. He didn't go back and forth with them. He said, leave it alone. I'm going to stay quiet because these guys know what they do. They're ignorant as hell. Leave it alone. He stayed quiet. And we as followers of him are going to encounter the same issues, the same thing. He stayed to himself. He didn't go back and forth. He said, listen, I'm going to stay quiet. I'm going to leave it alone because I know these guys are ignorant. They know what they're doing. An example, hold that. Give 1 Peter. I'm jumping ahead, but I don't have it written down, so I'll just go over it now. 1 Peter, I think it's 2. Hold on. 21. Yes, fine.
The book of 1 Peter, chapter 2 and verse 21.
We're going to be down to 24.
For even hereunto were ye called,
chosen.
Because Christ also suffered for us.
Christ also suffered for us, Israelites. Go ahead.
Leaving us an example.
Leaving us an example. Go ahead.
That ye should follow his steps.
That we should follow his steps. What steps did he do? Read the next verse. What steps did he take?
Who did no sin.
Who was innocent.
Neither was guile found in his mouth.
Spoke no evil of anyone. Go ahead.
Who, when he was reviled.
When he was spoken evil of, cursed out, called names, mocked. When he was reviled, go ahead.
Reviled not again.
Now go back and forth. He said nothing. Go ahead.
When he suffered, he threatened not.
When he suffered for no reason, in his innocence, he said nothing.
But committed himself to that judgeth righteously.
But committed himself to his Father, who judged righteously. The Lord going to deal with them. But I'm dying for them. This is the Lord's will. That Lord's will be done. Go ahead.
Who his own self bare our sins in his own body on the tree.
On the wood, the cross. Go ahead.
That we, being dead to sins, should live unto righteousness.
Keep the commandments. Go ahead.
By whose stripes ye were healed.
He's quoting Isaiah 53. By whose stripes ye were healed. By his beating, his punishment, and his being buffeted, you are granted a second chance to repent. The Israelites were granted a chance of deliverance, salvation. Gotta follow his steps. Go back to Isaiah again, 53. Is that we were? Let me look at it.
Yeah, we're up to verse 7.
All right, read it again.
Isaiah chapter 53 and verse 7. He was oppressed and he was afflicted, yet he opened not his mouth. He is brought as a lamb to the slaughter, and as a sheep before the shears is dumb. Now
remember, the sheep are usually stood in a line, and then they bring them in and they kill one by one. The sheep just walk up. The sheep don't say nothing. The sheep, like a farmer, he brings the sheep into the shed. He killed one. He brings one in. They just walk in there. They walk in there, get killed. One comes in, walks in, gets killed. They don't say, hey, I ain't going on that line. He killed the one before me. I ain't going on that line. The sheep says nothing. It just does what it's told. It's led him to the barn to be killed, and it does what it's told. Christ did the exact same thing. Didn't argue. Didn't go back and forth. He said, I got to go. I got to go.
Try to picture yourself in his shoes if you can, if you can dare do so. Here's a man that hasn't committed any sin at all, and he's going to take the sins of all of us, and he's going to die to atone for the whole nation of Israel. He didn't open his mouth to defend himself or anything. And think about the power that he had. When the centurions came to take him, the soldiers came to take him, they were looking for him, and Christ said, whom seek ye? And he threw, huh?
No, he said, who are you?
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Right. He said, whom seek ye? And they said, we looking for him. And when he did this, they all fell backwards. Yeah. So think about the power. Think about the power that he had. He had to turn his power off to allow these misfits to hang him. Think about, you got all of this power. You could have put the earth between your forefinger and your thumb and smashed it. He said, I could call thousands of legions of angels to take care of all of this. And he turned all of that off for the love of this nation. That's why I say you got to think and relish what this Bible is really saying. That's the reason why it's going to be a terrible death for the ones of us that mess up in this.
He has brought, verse 7, about the middle of it, he is brought as?
Verse 7, he is brought as a lamb to the slaughter, and as a sheep before her shears is dumb.
Stop. As a sheep before her shearers is dumb. They don't speak. They don't say a word. A shearer is one that shaves the sheep down. They mow the sheep down. Go ahead.
So he openeth not his mouth.
They didn't say a word. Didn't say nothing. Go ahead.
He was taken from prison and from judgment. And who will declare his generation?
And who shall declare his generation? Who? Go ahead.
For he was cut off out of the land of the living. For the transgression of my people was he stricken.
Read again.
He was taken from prison and from judgment. And who shall declare his generation?
Who shall declare his generation? Hold where we at? Verse 8.
Verse 8.
Give me 1 second. I don't want to skip anything. Read on. Go ahead.
For he was cut off out of the land of the living.
He was killed. Go ahead.
For the transgression of my people.
For who?
For the transgression of my people was he stricken.
That shows you who Christ died for. For the transgression of my people was he stricken. Not all people, not all nations, my people, for the transgression of my people was he stricken. I mean, how clear is that? Verse 8 destroys Christianity in itself. This verse 8 alone. This is before he's even born. It tells you his purpose. For the transgressions of my people.
Yes, for the transgressions of my people. Yeah, me and Nathan pull the scriptures many times, many of our class. Where we going to find that scripture, that precept? For the transgressions of my people. I give you the book in Hebrew.
Oh, yeah.
For the transgressions of my people.
Hebrews 9:15.
Yes, for the transgressions of my people.
That's it. That's the verse. Daniel 9:25. Now remember, the Most High spoke to Joshua the priest about a branch coming out of them and would be eventually sit on the throne and will be a priest. Y'all remember that? Zechariah 6, verse 12 and 13. Y'all remember that? Do y'all remember that? Some of y'all quiet. Do y'all remember that? Zechariah 6, 12 and 13? All right.
The book of Daniel, chapter 9 and verse 25. Know therefore and understand that from the going forth of the commandment to restore and to build Jerusalem unto the Messiah, the prince shall be 7 weeks, and 62 weeks. The street shall be built again, and the wall, even in troublous times.
So Daniel is giving us the time frame in which things will be restored. Now, the temple, at this time, the temple is already built, because Daniel came after, I believe. Yes or no? No, not this time, no. So he's telling us in this time, thank you. So at this time, he's telling us that the temple will be built again, and the walls will be built again. Right, I'm wrong, because Daniel was before that. It's right after that. It was destroyed. So Daniel before that. So he's telling us that in the time frame of the temple being built and the walls being restored, it says he's giving us a time frame unto the Messiah, the Prince. Y'all see that? It says to restore and build Jerusalem. That's the temple and the walls. Up until the Messiah, the Prince, he gives a time frame. 7 weeks and 62 weeks. That's the time frame he's giving us. Go ahead. The bottom of verse 25. The street. Read from the top.
Know therefore and understand that from the going forth of the commandment to restore and to build Jerusalem unto the Messiah, the Prince shall be 7 weeks and 62 weeks.
Go ahead.
The street shall be built again, and the wall, even in troublous times.
Because during the time when those things are trying to be restructured, Zerubbabel and Joshua, during the time of the construction, they were giving them a hard time trying to rebuild the temple, and they were giving them a hard time, Nehemiah, a hard time later on trying to rebuild the walls. So he's giving us a time frame that from that time, there's going to be troublous times rebuilding the Jerusalem again, the temple and the walls, up until the Messiah. All right, so he's giving us a time frame. Go ahead.
Verse 26.
Messiah the Prince. The Messiah the Prince. And it's a capital P, like Isaiah 9 and 6 and 7. The Prince of Peace. Go ahead.
Verse 26. And after 62 weeks shall Messiah be cut off.
And after 62 weeks shall the Messiah be cut off. Go ahead.
But not for himself.
Not for himself, but for who?
And
Hold on, but for who? Is that written that? Isaiah what? Isaiah 53, not for himself, but for the transgressions of the Lord's people. Not for him, he's not going to die for himself, he's going to die for his people. That's what it's telling you. Go ahead.
And after 62 weeks shall Messiah be cut off, but not for himself.
Remember Isaiah said, cut off from where? The land of the living. Isaiah said, cut off from the land of the living in Isaiah 53. Crucified. So Daniel's telling us what happened long before. Like Isaiah, the same thing. Daniel's confirming what Isaiah's saying. Go ahead.
And the people of the prince that shall come and destroy the city.
People of the prince is going into Titus and Vespasian. Titus, Vespasian's son, the Roman Caesar. Go ahead.
And the sanctuary, and the end thereof shall be with the flood, and unto the end of the war.
The Jewish war between Rome and Israel. Go ahead.
Desolations are determined.
Our land will be desolate up until now. So giving a time frame from Persian captivity, a window from Persian captivity leading into Christ. You're going to have troublous times in Persian captivity, trying to rebuild Jerusalem. In troublous times after the Messiah is cut off. That's what he's saying. Troublous times, Persian captivity leading into Christ, and troublous times leading after Christ. Y'all follow? Let's see how long. Let's get Esdras 2nd Ezra 7:28. He showed Isaiah and he showed Daniel. And he showed Ezra more. 2nd Ezra 7, verse 28. In the class. 2nd Ezra 7 and verse 28.
28. The book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 7 and verse 28. For my son Jesus shall be revealed with those that be with him.
This is Ezra. He's giving us his name. Because the Old Testament Israelites say, oh, we're going to say Jesus in the Old Testament. We're reading it. There goes his name right there. Read again.
For my son Jesus shall be revealed with those that be with him.
His disciples will be with him. Go ahead.
And they shall and they that remain.
Those that survive. Remember, the troublous times, it started to get persecution after Christ died. Go ahead.
And they that remain shall rejoice within 400 years.
Within when?
Within 400 years.
So 400 years after Persian captivity, what came? Nope. Rome. Rome came 400 years after Persian captivity. 400 plus years after. So from Ezra's time, the Lord says 400 years. So 400 years after him, Christ came on the scene. Roman Empire was on rulership at this point. Was ruling at this point. 400 years later. So Ezra's telling us that in 400 years, Christ's going to show up here. Jesus is going to show up. Next verse.
Verse 29. After these years shall my son Christ die.
My son Christ die. Go ahead.
And all men that have life.
And all those who follow him are going to die also. Troublous times. Ezra's clearing up Daniel 9:26 and 25. 400 years. So after Persia, 400 years plus, you had, however long Ezra lived, 400 years after Ezra, Rome came on the scene. In the book I have, it says that that Rome came 400 years after Persia. It tells you that in my book I have, but it's not over there. It says it verbatim, but it's not over there. Is that it right there? That is it. With the red, y'all stop the red. It's a red right there. It's on top of the, nope, go down second shelf to the left. That right there. That's the one. I want Nehemiah out of there. Let me get it. I think it says it here. To confirm that Ezra is going with history. It's called the Nelson's Complete Book of Bible Maps and Charts. I used to go over this all the time when I taught the captivity classes. I use this book a lot. Nelson's Complete Book of Bible Maps and Charts. Page 159 in the Nelson's Complete Book of Bible Maps and Charts. All right. Yeah, right there. Nehemiah, page 159. All right? I'm going to read a little bit of it. But it gives you some history about the Ezra's books, Ezra's and so forth, a little bit. All right? It says Nehemiah. I'll give you a whole still. Be good. You can leave right there. I'll read it from there. Nehemiah, contemporary of Ezra. I mean, they're in the same time. And cupbearer to the king in the Persian palace, led the third and last return to Jerusalem after the Babylonian exile. Granted permission by the Persian king to return to his homeland, so he had to get time off from work. Nehemiah challenged his countrymen to rebuild the shattered walls of Jerusalem. Remember, Daniel said the walls. And Zerubbabel and Joshua, the temple. In spite of opposition, that's troublous times. The task was completed in only 52 days. By contrast, the task of reviving and reforming the people of God demanded the years of Nehemiah's godly life and leadership. The book of Nehemiah is a complement to the book of Ezra, because Ezra is book 1, Nehemiah is book 2, and you have 3rd Ezra and you have 4th Esdras, or 1st Esdras and 2nd Esdras. 1st and 2nd Esdras is actually 3rd and 4th. The book of Nehemiah is a complement to the book of Ezra, the contemporaries. It provides additional information about the religious and social reforms that took place in Judah and Jerusalem in the mid-5th century BC. The book derives its present title form to the main character, Nehemiah, whose name appears in chapter 1, verse 1, originally united with the book of Ezra. In the Hebrew text, Nehemiah was treated as a separate book when the scriptures were translated into Latin. That's the Apocrypha. 1st, 2nd Esdras, Latin, Esdras. Now, go to page 161. I'm going to read the book of Nehemiah right there. Hold up again. Again, I'll stop. Thank you. I put a line there so I can see it. Hold up. Yeah, it's right there. Themes and literary structure. Bring it up some more. Yeah, straight out some. Right there's good. The book of Nehemiah, what did I say? Completes the historical, okay, it's floating around. I can't see. Completes the historical account of God's people in the Old Testament. Completes, okay, about 400 years before the birth of the promised Messiah. See that? About 400 years before. So Nehemiah is 400, Ezra and Nehemiah are 400 years before the Messiah. That's what Ezra just said. That's all I want to get out. That's all I want out of it. That's all I want. That's it. So read 2 Ezra again, 7 verse 28. That's the name of the book right there. Bible Maps and Charts. Nelson's complete book of Bible Maps and Charts.
The book of 2 Ezra, chapter 7, verse 28.
Uh-huh.
For my son Jesus shall be revealed with those that be with him.
Uh-huh.
And they that remain.
Those who live to see that day. Go ahead.
Those that remain, and they that remain shall rejoice within 400 years.
Because they'll be around at the time. Within 400 years after Nehemiah and Ezra, Christ shows up. You understand? Bible is no game. It's historically evident and proven. Now, let's get 26.
The book of Psalms, chapter 16 and verse 8. I have set the Lord always before me. Because he is at my right hand, I shall not be moved.
This is David talking. Go ahead.
Therefore my heart is glad, and my glory rejoiceth. My flesh also shall rest in hope.
Uh-huh.
For thou wilt not leave my soul in hell.
Uh-huh.
Neither wilt thou suffer thine Holy One to see corruption.
Read verse 10 again.
For thou wilt not leave my soul in hell.
My soul in the grave. Go ahead.
Neither wilt thou suffer thy Holy One to see corruption.
Meaning decay. Because when the Messiah was buried, he did not decay in that ground. 3 days he was out, up and out. He did not allow his Holy One to decay in that ground. Get Acts 2, verse 25.
Right. It's that you all understand that when it says hell, there is talk about the
Grave.
ground and not that place, not that place that that the Greeks and them talk Hades, right? Not that place where you go and you get tormented with somebody with a pitchfork. That's not the hell it's talking about here.
No, it's not.
All right. When you read the Bible, it refers to hell in different forms, right? It refers to hell as number one, captivity. All right, which is in Isaiah, and it refers to hell also as the
grave.
The grave,
or low
meaning
state.
right. And what's the Hebrew word for that? I remember.
Sheol.
Yeah, Sheol, meaning the grave. You understand? But it's not talking about us going and living the earth and getting tormented by somebody with horns and a pitchfork.
It's Greek mythology. That's what it is. Hades, Tartarus, Dante's Inferno is Greek nonsense. Acts 2, verse 25. Thank you.
The book of Acts, chapter 2, verse 25. For David speaketh concerning him. I foresaw the Lord always before my face, for he is on my right hand, that I should not be moved. Therefore did my heart rejoice, and my tongue was glad. Moreover, also my flesh shall rest in hope.
We just read this. Go ahead.
Because thou wilt not leave my soul in hell, neither wilt thou suffer thine Holy One to see corruption.
His Holy One is his son. To see corruption in the grave, in the ground. So he's going into. All right, let's get Matthew 27 now. 39. 27, verse 39.
The book of Matthew, chapter 27, verse 39. And they that passed by reviled him, wagging their heads, and saying.
Remember, it said they reviled him. Remember, it said he was reviled. Yeah, he reviled not. Okay, read again.
And they that passed by reviled him.
Remember, Psalms 22 also says they shot the lips at him. He was despised of men. Isaiah 53, same thing. Go ahead.
And they that passed by reviled him, wagging their heads.
Go ahead.
And saying, thou that destroyest the temple and buildest it in 3 days, save thyself.
Save yourself. Go ahead.
If thou be the Son of God, come down from the cross.
Didn't Solomon say that in Wisdom of Solomon? If you be the Son of God, deliver yourself. Solomon's saying what they said. Solomon's saying it first. Go ahead.
Likewise, also the chief priests mocking him. with the scribes and the elders said, he saved others. Himself he cannot save. If he be the king of Israel, let him now come down from the cross, and we will believe him. He trusted in God. Let him deliver him now, if he will have him. For he said, I am the Son of God.
Psalmist said the exact same thing in chapter 2. Verbatim. 18 and down. Go ahead.
The thieves also, which were crucified with him, cast the same from his teeth.
One of the thieves. Go ahead.
Now from the sixth
hour.
hour.
Hold on a second. So I want verse 40 up to verse 43. That was it. Let's get Psalms 22 verse 9.
The book of Psalms, chapter 22, verse 9. But thou art he that took me out of the womb. Thou didst make me hope when I was upon my mother's breasts. I was cast upon thee from the womb.
Now, some will say, well, when it says Holy One to see corruption, that's talking about David himself. Or this is David talking about himself in 22 verse 1 and down. This is David referring to, OT Israelites will say, this is David talking about himself. Let's put it to the test. Read again.
Verse 9. But thou art he that took me out of the womb. Thou didst make me hope when I was upon my mother's breast.
That's a child. Go ahead.
I was cast upon thee from the womb. Thou art my God from my mother's belly.
Go ahead.
Be not far from me, for trouble is near, for there is none to help. Many bulls have compassed me. Strong bulls of Bashan have beset me round.
I'm surrounded. Go ahead.
They gaped upon me with their mouths. As a ravening and roaring lion.
That's them mocking him, reviling him. Mocking him is saying the exact same thing. Saying the exact same thing. Give wisdom of Psalm 2 and 20. That didn't happen to David. He wasn't surrounded and mocked.
And then David did see corruption.
Yeah, David did see corruption, right.
The book of Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 2, verse 20. Let us condemn him with a shameful death, for by his own saying he shall be respected.
Read again.
Let us condemn him with a shameful death, for by his own saying he shall be respected.
The shameful death was that cross for all them hours on that tree or that wood for all them hours like that. That was a shameful death of an innocent man. All right? Go back to, go to Psalms 22 again, verse 11.
The book of Psalms, chapter 22, verse 11.
No, I'm sorry. Go to verse 14.
Verse 14. I am poured out like water, and all my bones are out of joint.
What? Read again.
I am poured out like water, and all my bones are out of joint.
Go ahead.
My heart is like wax. It is melted in the midst of my bowels.
Go ahead.
My strength is dried up like a potsherd, and my tongue cleaveth to my jaws. And thou hast brought me into the dust of death.
Verse 16.
For dogs have compassed me. The assembly of the wicked have enclosed me.
Dogs have compassed me. The assembly of the wicked. He's saying who the dogs are. The assembly of the wicked have enclosed me. Go ahead.
They pierced my hands and my feet.
When did it happen to David? Never happened. David never got his hands and feet pierced at any point in time. At all. Get Isaiah 56 verse 10. The dogs that compassed him.
The book of Isaiah, chapter 56 and verse 10. His watchmen are blind.
His watchmen, meaning leaders, our leaders are blind. Go ahead.
His watchmen are blind. They are all ignorant.
They are all what?
They are all ignorant.
That's like we are today. Ignorant. Go ahead.
They are all dumb dogs.
Dumb dogs. Go ahead.
They cannot bark.
Can't teach.
Sleeping, lying down, loving to slumber.
Go ahead.
Yea, they are greedy dogs.
Covetous, greedy. Go ahead.
Which can never have enough. And they are shepherds that cannot understand. They all look to their own way, everyone for his gain from his quarter.
So our watchmen, our leaders are called dumb dogs. So back to Psalms again.
Psalms chapter 22, verse
16.
Verse 16. For dogs have compassed me. The assembly of the wicked have enclosed me.
Not just him, but the Romans as well. The heathens are there too. They're dogs as well. The heathens are also around. But he's referring to Israel here as well. Go ahead.
They pierced my hands and my feet.
The Romans, they pierced my hands and my feet. It didn't happen to David at all. Go ahead.
I may tell all my bones.
I can see my bones because they ripped his meat off.
They look and stare upon me.
Because he's on the cross. Go ahead.
They part my garments among them.
When did it happen to David? It never happened to David. No one pierced his hands and feet and took his clothes. David would kill people. David was putting people to death. That's not happened to David at all. Hold on. I don't want to go too far ahead. I was verse 16. Let's go to Zechariah 12 and 10. Let that part out. They pierced my hands and my feet. Zechariah 12 and 10.
The book of Zechariah, chapter 12 and verse 10.
Hold on, let me get it. Go ahead.
Zechariah chapter 12, verse 10. And I will pour upon the house of David and upon the inhabitants of Jerusalem.
All 12 tribes. Go ahead.
The spirit of grace.
Mercy.
And of supplication.
That's Christ. Go ahead.
And they shall look upon me.
Hold on. And they shall look upon me. Go ahead.
Whom they have pierced.
Whom what?
Whom they have pierced.
Whom they have pierced. Go ahead.
And they shall mourn for him, as one mourneth for his only son, and shall be in bitterness for him, as one that is in bitterness for his firstborn.
Go ahead.
In that day there shall be a great mourning in Jerusalem, as the mourning of Hadad-Rimmon in the valley of Megiddo.
Go ahead.
And the land shall mourn every family apart, the family of the house of David apart, and their wives apart, the family of the house of Nathan apart, and their wives apart, the family of the house of Levi apart, and their wives apart, and the family of Shammai apart, and their wives apart, and the families that remain, every family apart, and their wives apart.
What we're reading is prophecy. The most Christ is going to show us. We're going to cry. We see him. We're going to cry. We're going to know. We're going to see those holes in his hands and his feet when he shows up. We're going to know that he existed and what he did for us. We're going to cry bitterly. That's what it's saying. I'm going to reveal myself to you. You're going to see the holes in my hands and the holes in my feet and know that I existed and I went through that hell for you. And Israel is going to cry in that day. Separate. Women are going to be one side, men on the other. The Most High do an order also. Even in deliverance, you're going to have them separate from us in that point, teaching us all over again. We're going to see his hands and feet pierced. You understand that? That's prophetic. That has not happened yet at all. Go back to Psalms 22 again. Read verse 17 and 18 again.
The book of Psalms, chapter 22, verse 17. I may tell all my bones.
I can see my bones. Go ahead.
They look and stare upon me. They part my garments among them and cast lots upon my vesture.
Let's get Matthew 27:35. Matthew 27:35.
The book of Matthew, chapter 27 and verse 35. And they crucified him and parted his garments, casting lots.
Hold on. Going too fast. Hold on. Read again.
And they crucified him and parted his garments.
And they crucified him, gave him that shameful death, and parted his garments. Because Christ didn't dress bummy. Christ wore material that was actually worth something. It was of value. They took it and they ripped it. Go ahead, read again.
And they crucified him and parted his garments.
Go ahead.
Casting lots.
As to who will get what piece. Go ahead.
That it might be fulfilled, which was spoken by the prophet.
The prophet David. Go ahead.
They parted my garments among them, and upon my vesture did they cast lots.
See that? So David's prophesying. This is Christ. Christ was speaking through David regarding the trials to come when he's going to come on the earth. Okay. Go to John. I don't need that. Go to Wisdom of Solomon 2 verse 21. Remember Isaiah said that they are blind. They are dumb dogs regarding our leaders. Wisdom of Solomon 2 verse 21.
The book of Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 2 and verse 21. Such things they did imagine.
Such things that our leaders did imagine against the Messiah and eventually to us. Go ahead.
And were deceived.
And they were deceived. Go ahead.
For their own wickedness had blinded them.
Their own wickedness blinded them. Go ahead.
As for the mysteries of God, they knew them not.
They don't understand Christ that was before them. Go ahead.
Neither hoped they for the wages of righteousness, nor discerned a reward for blameless souls.
Now, let's get John 12, about them being deceived or blinded. Isaiah clarifies it, but let's get more. John 12:38.
John chapter 12 and verse 37. But though he had done so many miracles before them, yet they believed not on him.
They were blinded. Go ahead.
That the saying of Esaias the prophet might be fulfilled,
Isaiah, go ahead.
which he spake. Lord, who hath believed our report? And whom hath the arm of the Lord been revealed?
What's he quoting? Isaiah what? 53:1. We just read that. Go ahead.
Therefore they could not believe, because that Esaias said again, he had blinded their eyes and hardened their hearts.
Wisdom of Solomon, they are blinded. Go ahead.
That they should not see with their eyes, nor understand with their heart, and be converted, and I should heal them.
Go ahead.
These things said Esaias when he saw his glory and spake of him.
So Isaiah saw Christ and spoke of him. Go ahead.
Nevertheless, among the chief rulers also many believed on him.
So some did believe in Christ. Go ahead.
But because of the Pharisees,
But because of the leaders that they had over them, go ahead.
they did not confess him,
They didn't acknowledge, they didn't say it out loud. Go ahead.
lest they should be put out of the synagogue.
Go ahead.
For they loved the praise of men more than the praise of God.
And you'll have that among Israel as well. You'll have Israel who sees righteousness amongst us, but they don't want to leave. They'll say, I'm going to stay here regardless. I know Israel, IUIC is doing great things, but I'm going to stay to myself. I'm not going to follow. I'm going to be quiet, because if I do, I'll get put in my congregation. It's the same thing. And likewise at Christ, you had Nicodemus come to him at night. Joseph and Arimathea come to him, the same thing, because they were afraid. They feared men more than God. That was their thing. Well, Nicodemus more so. Joseph showed his faith when Christ died on the cross. Because Isaiah says that. All right, Isaiah 53 clears that up. Get Isaiah again, it's third up. Isaiah. It's going to show that Joseph of Arimathea was prophesied to bury him. He was a rich man. Isaiah 53. And let me look at it. Isaiah 53, verse 8. Again, we read all the way down to the bottom.
The book of Isaiah, chapter 53, verse 8. He was taken from prison and from judgment, and who shall declare his generation?
Want to read it again?
He was taken from prison and from judgment, and who shall declare his generation?
Who shall declare his generation? Get Psalms 22 real quick. Who shall declare? Who shall declare that he existed, that he walked the earth? Who shall declare it? Psalms 22, same chapter. You read from verse 30 to 31.
The book of Psalms, chapter 22, verse 30 to 31. A seed shall serve him.
Let me go back to that elect you mentioned earlier. I think Malachi mentioned earlier. A seed shall what?
A seed shall serve him.
Go ahead.
It shall be accounted to the Lord for a generation.
That seed shall be counted as generation. That shall do what? That shall declare his. Go ahead.
They shall come and shall declare his righteousness unto a people that shall be born.
The children. Go ahead.
That he hath done this.
That he did what? Died for his people. That he have done this. Done what? Had his hands and feet pierced. Died for the people. We're going to generations going to declare it. That's why he asked the question, who shall declare his generation? Who have believed our report? Those who believe the report are going to do it. Those who acknowledge he died on the cross are going to do it. Those who don't are going to be behind screen names on Facebook, YouTube, or on Periscope, hiding, running their mouth, being unproductive, non-productive, and detrimental to the people. Just hiding under the bed. Being just trolling. That's what they're going to do. They're going to do nothing. Not go on the street and teach their people like the Bible says to do. They're going to just hide and cower. But the Spirit of the Lord is not in them like it was in our forefathers at all. What that scripture says, no man speak like this man. No man speak like this John, I think. I want that. Let me look at it. 46. Yes, read verse 45. Because there's a certain spirit that's going to be in you when you teach this word. People are going to say, yo, these guys, I never heard this before. The way you guys bring it out like this, I never heard it like that before. There's many Israel out here. Israelites who don't believe in Christ and those who do. And the ones that do believe in Christ, their spirit is stronger and more prominent than the ones that don't. The ones that believe in Yah only, you don't know about. You don't, unless they say that they don't believe in Christ, or that you don't see them on the streets teaching their people. Because the Spirit ain't dealing with them. Because they have Satan.
Yeah, the one we deal with in Connecticut, they have their girls still wearing pants.
Right.
So I don't believe in sacrifice.
Right, I don't believe in nothing.
Book of John, chapter 7, verse 40. Many of the people, therefore, when they heard this saying, said, of a truth, this is the prophet.
This man's a man of God. Go ahead.
Others said, this is the Christ.
He is the Messiah that promised to come. Go ahead.
But some said, shall Christ come out of Galilee?
The ghetto? Because Nazareth is a city in Galilee. That was, remember it said, the least among the children of Judah. He wouldn't have no status. He was in the ghetto like us, the ghetto. Christ relates to us in all spectrums. The black man hated living in the ghetto. He lived the life that we live now. A Messiah out of Galilee? Hell no, that place is the hood. That's freaking Chicago. He from Chicago? Nah, he ain't no Messiah. Bel Air maybe, but Chicago? Nah. Yeah. Read again.
Others said, this is the Christ. But some said, shall Christ come out of Galilee?
Out of Nazareth? So can anything good come out of Nazareth? Go ahead.
Hath not the scripture said that Christ cometh of the seed of David?
Uh-huh.
And out of the town of Bethlehem where David was?
Uh-huh. That's Micah 5:1. Out of Bethlehem, Judah. Go ahead.
So there was a division among the people because of him.
People are arguing. Is he man of the Lord? Is he a devil? Is he a Messiah? Is he not? Go ahead.
And some of them would have taken him.
And some of them taken and locked him up. Go ahead.
But no man laid hands on him.
They didn't touch him. We go out in the street and we teach in the worst neighborhoods you can think of. No one touches us. Cops come and go, ka-chop, and walk off. Because they know we can't deal with them. They're going to probably kill them. Nothing happens to us. Because no man dare lay hands on us. Because the Lord is dealing with us. Now, if you don't believe in the Messiah, something might happen to you. Because the Lord ain't dealing with you. That's why you troll our comment boards and so forth. Because the Lord ain't dealing with them. They cower and they troll. That's what they can do. They have no voice. They have no power behind them. Read on.
Then came the officers to the chief priests and the Pharisees, and they said unto him, why have ye not brought him?
Why have you not arrested him? Go ahead.
The officers answered, never man spake like this man.
No one taught that before. We can't touch this dude. Look the way he teaches. Something special about this man. He stands out among the rest. Go ahead.
Then answered them the Pharisees, are ye also deceived?
He tricked you too? They were mad. He deceiving you too? He brainwashing y'all too? They were mad as hell. That's all I want.
Hey, so also, why were they scared to touch Christ? Let me show you all something. Because when Christ was teaching, the people and them believe. And when you keep on reading, when you read another scripture, it tell you that they didn't want to touch Christ because they feared that the people and them, they thought Christ was a prophet. So the people would defend Christ. Mm-hmm. You understand? That's why a lot of time they were scared to a lot of time they wanted to kill Christ. It was in their mind, but like, we gonna kill him. But in fear, the people and them defending Christ, that's the only reason they didn't lay hands on him.
Right.
You understand? That's the only reason.
Yep. Exactly. Read on.
Verse 49.
Yeah.
But the people who knoweth not the law.
48.
Verse 48. Have any of the rulers or the Pharisees believed on him?
Do we believe in him? Your leaders, do we believe in that dude? Why do you believe in him for? They're mad. Go ahead.
But this people who knoweth not the law are cursed.
Wow. Read it again.
But this people who knoweth not the law are cursed.
People knoweth not the law are cursed. Damn, that's bad. That's why it says, blessed are those who are not offended in me. And cursed are those who don't. Go ahead.
Nicodemus saith unto them, he that came to Jesus by night, being one of them.
Read it again.
Nicodemus saith unto them, he that came to Jesus by night before one of them.
He was being one of them. He was one of them that hated Christ, that wanted to have him killed. He was with the clique, but he was learning from Christ in secret because he believed. But he feared the men rather than the praise of God. He feared men rather than God. That was his problem. All right. Read on. Matter of fact, read on.
Verse 51.
This is what Nicodemus says to his comrades. Go ahead, the elders. Go ahead.
Doth our law judge any man before it hear him and knoweth what he doeth? They answered and said unto him, art thou also of Galilee?
Are you from the ghetto? Are you a Negro too? They're insulting him. Go ahead.
Search and look, for out of Galilee ariseth no prophet.
Ain't no prophet come out of there. Not out of that area. Hell no. Go ahead.
And every man went unto his own house.
And they left. They dispersed. Now, let's get Isaiah 53 again and finish it up. Isaiah 53 and let's finish it up.
The book of Isaiah, chapter 53 and verse 8. He was taken from prison and from judgment. And who shall declare his generation? For he was cut off out of the land of the living.
He was cut off, but not for himself. Daniel 9:26. Go ahead.
For the transgression of my people was he stricken.
For the transgression of my people was he stricken or beaten, killed. Go ahead.
And he made his grave with the wicked.
Because he was killed by two thieves, by malefactors, one on the left, one on the right. Go ahead.
And with the rich in his death.
With the rich, because Joseph of Arimathea was the one who was rich that helped bury him with Nicodemus. Read that part again.
And he made his grave with the wicked and with the rich in his death.
Because Joseph of Arimathea buried him in his own grave that he had in his own land. Because Joseph of Arimathea was rich. Y'all, and he had status. So that's how he was able to get Christ's body off the cross and bury it in time. You understand? So Isaiah prophesied of the Messiah's death and so forth and things that were going to take place within that time frame. Go ahead.
Verse 9. And he made his grave with the wicked and with the rich in his death, because he had done no violence.
He was innocent. Go ahead.
Neither was any deceit in his mouth.
No guile found in his mouth. Go ahead.
Yet it pleased the Lord to bruise him.
Yet it pleased the Lord, because the Lord knew it was for his people. Go ahead.
He had put him to grief. When thou shalt make his soul,
his body, go ahead,
an offering for sin.
A what?
An offering for sin. He shall see his seed.
His people.
He shall prolong his days, and the pleasure of the Lord shall prosper.
No, his seed is Christ. His seed is Christ. Read again. Read thou shalt make. I'm sorry.
Thou shalt make his soul an offering for sin. He shall see his seed.
His son, his seed. Go ahead.
He shall prolong his days, and the pleasure of the Lord shall prosper in his hand.
When he shall have dominion. Daniel 7, Isaiah 9. Go ahead.
Verse 11. He shall see of the travail of his soul, and he shall be satisfied.
And shall be satisfied. Go ahead.
By his knowledge shall my righteous servant justify many.
That's the Messiah. Go ahead.
For he shall bear their iniquities.
He shall bear. So it's telling you a man's soul shall be an offering for sin. Explain this. No one explains this. You don't believe in the Messiah, but how do you explain Isaiah 53? You can't. Go ahead.
Verse 12. Therefore will I divide him a portion with the great.
That's the 144,000 the third. Go ahead.
And he shall divide the spoil with the strong.
Joint heirs. Once again, being joint heirs. Go ahead.
Because he had poured out his soul unto death. And he was numbered with the transgressors.
Malefactors.
And he bare the sin of many.
Israelites.
And made intercession for the transgressors.
And died for our transgressions. He became our mediator. He our redeemer. Or adopted us back. That's what intercessor means. To be the middleman. He died on the cross to bring us back to the Father. Intercessor. All right? For the transgressors. What transgressors? Of his people. You understand? So we ended on that.
Shalom. This is Bishop Nathaniel of Israel United in Christ. Please subscribe to our YouTube channels. Stay up to date with our latest events, music, and classroom lessons. IUIC plans to continue visiting different countries where this gospel has not been preached before. IUIC needs your help in pushing this truth. So join us. Subscribe to our Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and podcasts, and stay up to date with us. For more information, please visit www.israelunite.org.